It should be great. Chatterbox 73, a kinder, gentler show coming at you live. 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Saturday or Sunday, because I'm a professional. With Day and Skittles McStabby Pants. We are hoping for an Englehearth later on in the afternoon. Yeah,
afternoon, evening. Okay.
Suddenly, I feel like I'm a radio host. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Yeah, why not?
It is a little bit like radio, slightly like radio.
Yeah, we're broadcasting, I guess, technically. Why not?
Technically, we are broadcasting. Hopefully, sometime this week, I will actually manage to do some live streaming with the VR chat game. That is my big plan for sometime this week.
Yeah, I set like 5 reminders, like one every hour.
Never played it once.
Still managed not to do it, dude.
Nice.
Well, I was taking my son like shopping and shit too, but still,
stuff happens.
All that time.
I haven't seen 40 Mike. If you're listening, 40 Mike, I haven't seen him on there in a long time, and I finally got VR now. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be so fun to share, VR chat thing. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love it.
With Mike.
With
real world issues, probably.
Oh, you just different hours, man. He's probably on at different times of the day than I am. That's how that goes. People have jobs and kids and shit. Oh, let's see. What was I thinking? Did you see the thing about the chocolate milk?
Yeah.
Was it a governor? Yeah. I think it was. I watched that. I actually watched video of that. It was the silliest shit you've ever seen in your life, and they all acted like it was so fucking serious.
Right.
Chocolate milk represents diversity. Oh, it's so good. It is. Like, fucking come on, man. Oh.
Yeah, no, it is quite infantilizing, I guess, dude.
Well, and then meanwhile, places like San Francisco are having an exodus. I mean, this is the first time in like 50 years or something like that more people are leaving San Francisco Bay Area than are coming in.
Oh wow!
And it's at a pretty good rate because it's sanctuary city. You bring in a lot of criminals and thugs and gangsters, and they commit lots of crimes. And now it's impolitic to arrest them and punish them, and then the city will sneak them out of jail to avoid deportation, so they don't even go to jail for the crimes for any length of time. They just get released again.
Yeah, it's a winning strategy, dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to it,
Yeah, it's a winning strategy if you're determined to bring down the outrageous property costs there.
Oh yeah, no, property costs are going to drop like rocks because at a certain point, there's nobody's going to want to have a business there because nobody will want to work there. It just won't be worth it.
Yeah,
I think the average rent
was one of the most expensive cities out there.
Yeah, like the average rent that everybody's paying in San Francisco is like $4,000 a month, and that's for like a shitty one-bedroom studio style apartment. And usually it's $4,000 a month if you're sharing rent with other people.
Yeah, I remember I had a friend's parents have gone to San Francisco there, and I think they were staying at like a hostel or something, right? Because it's so cheap. And there was actually this chick that worked as a fucking nurse, which nurses make a pretty good living, really good living, really. And she actually lived at the hostel because of how outrageous the prices are for fucking rent and shit in that fucking town.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's insane. I went and stayed with a friend of a friend in San Francisco for the night. Like me and my friend went down, and one of her friends let us crash at her apartment. And it was like the size of a fucking closet. I mean, it was so ridiculous. Wow. And the only reason there was enough room for somebody to sleep on the floor was because she had a bed that was like 6 feet off the ground.
Wow.
And my friend shared the bed with her, and then I slept on the floor on like an air mattress that I brought. And they had like these hallways, like like a normal sized hallway you can walk down and like two people can pass each other.
Right.
This was a half your normal sized hallway in width.
That is fucking amazing, dude.
And there were two other rooms and a kitchen that was big enough that you could fit a table that seated 4 if the 4 people were really skinny.
Damn, dude.
And then you could barely cook. Like you couldn't really, there was barely enough room to get to all the counters and stuff in the fridge and shit. People would have to like get up and stuff. And like she was paying, I forget how much, but it was a ridiculous amount of money, way more than rent would be in my town. And she was also cooking all the meals and doing all the shopping in order to like make up for not paying an equal share of the rent as the other 2 guys that were there.
Wow, that's fucking.
And keep in mind, dude, she was working full time. I forget as what, but it was earning minimum wage, and minimum wage in San Francisco is something like $20, $20 an hour. So it's not like it's penny ante bullshit. It's let me look it up right now.
Yeah. So that's like the city mandated minimum wage.
Yeah. San Francisco actually has a city mandated minimum wage, probably like New York. No, my mistake. It just got to 15 an hour. It was 14 an hour. But at the time, at the time it would have been 13 an hour, which is at that time California minimum wage was something like $9 an hour.
Right.
So I think it was like she was making $4 an hour more than anyone else plus tips.
Right.
Because they don't allow your waiters and waitresses to get paid less than minimum wage there. It's a statewide mandate. Or not a statewide, a citywide mandate that covers all the different aspects of that. Yeah, weird situation with San Francisco. It's just, I don't know, man. It seems like your shit has gotten out of hand. If in order to like enjoy all of the amenities that bring people to your city, you have to enforce ridiculously high wages in comparison to the surrounding area.
Right. I'm guessing none of that's going on the other side of the bay in Oakland.
No, Oakland's probably worse. They probably don't have any of the artificially raised minimum wages, but they have like probably similar cost of living.
Right.
No, wait, they probably wouldn't be. No, you're right. You're probably right. They don't have quite as high a cost of living in Oakland because there's so much crime.
Yeah, that's what I always find that so bewildering, that they're so fucking close together and there's such a disparity.
Well, you'll find that the majority of people that live in San Francisco are Asian and white. And you'll find that the majority of people that live in Oakland are black. And I don't say that in order to be racist. I mean, literally, like, they have segregated themselves out that way.
Wow. Like they just kind of agreed to it, like without saying anything. It just kind of happened.
I'm not sure how it works. I mean, it's not like there are no black people in San Francisco or anything. It's just that you won't see nearly as many. And if you go to like Oakland, you'll see a lot more black people than white people. It's really, really obvious just walking down the street. So they've either self-segregated or some weird policies are happening or something that I'm not aware of that segregates them out. I couldn't tell you which it is.
Yeah, it's got to be something that just happened. Again, for California, I can't imagine anywhere in California would actually legislate something like that. No.
If I'm saying if it's legislated, it's sneakily done so that you can't really. There's no like real, niggers get out kind of bullshit legislation that's real obvious or anything.
Right.
Oh, I said that word again. I can't stop saying that word. Yeah. Even when I'm using it to exaggeratedly like make fun of somebody else being racist and
Yeah. No, dude, as long as you're not actually directing it at somebody as a fucking like a actual racial slur. I know. I don't understand this obsession with not saying the word at all under any circumstances.
Everybody flips out. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's like,
you ever heard Louis C.K's bit about it?
Oh no, but I'm sure it was good.
He's basically, he's kind of like, I really hate the N-word, and he's like, and not nigger, by the way. I mean the N-word.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
because it's infantilizing.
yeah, and he's like, you know, if there's like a lady on the news saying it and she says N word, he's like, oh, in my mind, I'm like, oh, she means nigger, and it's like, oh, fucking bitch, you're making me say it.
Oh man. Oh, speaking of comedians, I had seen those James Vetch sketches that you sent me. The one where he
Okay.
does the rubber duckies, and it progresses. It's doing more and more intricate pranks with rubber ducks in the bathroom until it's just one giant rubber duck the size of like 5 people.
Yeah.
That is great. And the emails and stuff where he harasses the email spammers.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure, but I thought they were pretty funny.
It's funny because you sent that to me, and I was just watching not long ago. I started watching a couple of people on they're YouTube videos, but they primarily stream on Twitch. And what they do is they set up virtual computers on their computer because their computers are really good, and they're like hacker level people. I guess they understand how to do all that shit. I don't. Right. But they spoof a computer, make it look like a fake computer is connecting to these people that do the ransomware stuff. So the fake computer, the virtual one, is the one that these people infect with their locks and stuff. But it doesn't actually lock down the actual computer because it's just it doesn't get past the virtual machine that they're running.
Oh, gotcha.
And so they get those people on the phone and just jerk them around pretending to be like old ladies or little kids or whatever with like voice changers and stuff.
Yeah.
And just waste as much of their time as they possibly can. And so,
dude, that shit is fascinating though. Like they fucking crash your computer or whatever, and then like, hey, you got to pay this much if you want it back. That's fucking fascinating.
Yeah, they lock you out of it. They set it up. I think it's like they changed the BIOS password or put a BIOS password in there if you don't have a BIOS password. And if once that's there, like I believe the only way you can get rid of it is literally inside your computer. There is a little tiny watch battery. Not like, well, not the size of a watch battery, but like a garage door opener battery. You know, like it's the size of a quarter battery.
Right.
And you literally gotta unplug the computer, unplug everything, pull that battery and wait for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, plug that battery in, start it all up again, and reinstall an operating system as if the computer had never had anything on it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's legit one of the worst things. You're starting from more than scratch. Because most of the time, if you get really bad viruses and stuff, you can restore your computer to the factory start.
Yeah.
So it'll erase all your programs, but you'll just start off like you just opened the computer and turned it on for the first time after you bought it.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's usually what you can do.
Have any of the programs loaded onto it, right?
Well, and you're not going to have those, but sometimes, depending on how it works, some of them now I think can save the pictures and movies and music and stuff will stay. Like that kind of stuff won't get taken off.
All right.
But you'll lose like a lot of the programs. So if you're like me and you keep a list of shit that you've got loaded on your computer along with passwords and usernames and stuff that's all written out by hand, you can put it back fairly easily if it's gets to that, although I don't usually let it get that far.
Yeah, that's a crazy.
But with a BIOS, you're fucked. You got to go past that. You're gonna have to buy another copy of Windows probably.
Yeesh. At that point, you almost might as well just get a new fucking computer.
You're essentially turning your computer into a brand new computer. Ironically, though, it'll probably run much better because it won't have a lot of fucking fragmented files and junkware on it that you probably didn't know was there if you let it get a BIOS password installed by some random dude over the internet. So,
that's cool that they're fucking with them, though. That's fucking awesome.
Oh, they'll take them for like hours at a time. One of the ones I only watch like the little YouTube clips because basically people will cut out and post like the parts that are funny, and you don't have to watch like the 2 hours of fucking there's funny bits here and there, but most of it is just boring as fuck. And like one guy from India was like, well, you Americans are all so stupid and blah blah blah, I like taking your money, and he's like, but you didn't. You infected a virtual machine. You didn't actually get what you wanted out of me. You got nothing, and I wasted an hour and a half of your time.
Right.
And then the guy just started, every time the guy would talk, the guy would just go, like this Indian dude, like the scammer started like freaking out. And then he started talking about wanting apple juice and he was going to get fermented apple juice and blah, blah, blah. And just fucking regressed to like a 2-year-old or some shit and had a tantrum.
God damn, dude.
It was really funny. Oh man, it was classic.
Yeah, that's good shit. Anytime those fuckers do that, get their fucking comeuppance a little bit, it's always good to see.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I've done it to a limited degree. Like when I was working, I was working for Allstate. They warned us about this thing, dude, where they'd call in asking for a password and all their shit. You know, they'd be like, "Hey, you got this? I'm from IT," and like they would tell, beforehand. They told us exactly what they were supposed to ask. They were going to ask for. So basically, as soon as they told them, I just started going back at them. What do you need? Do you need my password? Do you need my login? Like pretending like I was overly eager to help them.
Oh yeah, but you never actually give
it. Yeah, without actually doing it. But I was like, "Oh, geez, that's terrible. Oh my God, what do you need? My password? Do you need my login? What do you need?"
Oh man. Well, any amount of time you're wasting of theirs is time that they're not fucking someone else over. So it's always time well spent.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck those guys.
Well, and there's really nothing to be done. Like it's not like you can call up and report them and they'll be arrested because they're never based in the United States.
Yeah.
And their own countries won't do a damn thing because they're ripping off Americans and not like people from their own country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know it was the Nigerian scammers for forever. I don't know if that's still going on or if that's fucking.
Oh, that's still going on. A lot of people out of Romania. Romania is really, really well known for that. God, I'm trying to think. Countries. Yeah, a lot of Eastern Bloc countries. Yeah, definitely a lot of Eastern Bloc countries that happens in.
India, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course, India. Oh, before we go too far, I wanted to, because we, Englehearth is a little bit late. I figure we'll get a little bit of the mocking the drama people in. So it's interesting. I know you're not a fan of Jeff, neither am I. But he tweeted Mr. Worski and was like, "All right, look, you've been, calling me out and all this stuff for a while. If you want, you can come on my second channel and we'll do a stream," because that's where Jeff does all his live streams. It's off his secondary channel. I forget what it's called, but
it's Jeff Holiday 2 Electric Boogaloo,
something like that. Yeah. But that's where all his live streams are. And so he was offering like, let's make peace kind of thing. And Andy's like, "No, you don't get to do that. You have to come on the Kumite, or you have to come on my show. There's after all this, you don't get to call the shots." So it just demonstrates like the basic lie of like, obviously they're not looking to actually resolve anything or to make peace with anyone. That's total fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's not about the views at all.
Yeah, it's a blatant lie because Andy knew that he goes on that secondary channel. He's not making anything off of it.
Yeah, no stupid nothing
for him out of it.
No views. Yeah.
So it just shows like the bullshit lies that the fucking assholes spin. I just had to share that. Somebody on my, because I don't follow these people anymore, but somebody retweeted the Andy's thing. And so I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I still followed that person. All right, I'm gonna unfollow that person." But I thought I'd mention that because it was funny, kind of silly. It was like, I'll just take myself out of the situation by not following all these people. But
yeah, and again, they could even just do it on a private fucking hangout if it was really about resolving something.
Yeah, if that was what was really going on, if they were honestly trying to solve beefs, I fucking hate saying that, like issues, conflicts. Those are always best resolved in private.
Yeah.
And if you need more than the two people that are involved or the people that are directly involved, it should be somebody who is a calm, rational, mediator who's not gonna turn into throw his temper tantrum of justice like Tonka Saw does.
Right.
I'm not listening. I'm not listening. I'm saying names, kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah, some kind of moderator that's not gonna fly off the handle themselves.
Doesn't need to be taking some sort of like fucking medication.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, man.
I should point out, I have my own fucking like anti-anxiety meds, so it's like, no, I'm fucking, you know, I don't give a shit if people are on pills. It's not a bad thing. Just
it can help tremendously.
Who could probably benefit from some fucking something.
Yeah,
probably Andy
maybe
too.
Anger management classes.
I don't know, man. Dude, that guy seems like to fucking be obsessed with some shit. I think he might actually need to be taking like some antidepressants or something. Because he fucking holds grudges.
Definitely. Yeah, forever, dude. It was pretty amazing, dude.
Like I haven't thought about him until I saw that tweet today, and I was just like, holy shit, these people are so fucking dumb. They just moved on and on.
Yeah, well, no, they're full of fucking rage, man, and they fucking they are incapable, it seems like, incapable of letting anything go, man. Yeah. It's really fucking spectacular, dude.
Well, I mean, you saw Geek Cooler come on the chat the one time. That was pretty fucking funny. That was so ridiculous.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, dude, why do you fucking care what we think? Like, you value it that much, dude. Yeah, it was pretty fucking spectacular too.
And to be fair,
he was mad. Like he was seemed to be really fucking angry. But I'll give him this. He's very fast.
I think he had gone at it with me on Twitter earlier. I don't remember if it was the same day or it was the day before or something like that. But I pretty handily handed him his own ass in front of like other people on Twitter that I'm sure he thinks of as more important because they have more of a following. Because I made it really clear, like, nah, dude, you can call me all the names you want. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not important to me. Jesus Christ, man. Fucking, if you're going to be late, go from your own house, dude. Come on. All right. So I'm going to have to go let Matt in.
Oh, Jesus. So soon.
Well, it's 9:30. Yeah, so
no, I know. I'm fucking around.
I'm wondering if he expected us to wait to fucking launch the stream. All right, either way, dude. You can go on about the drama crew if you want.
All right. Yeah, no, I'll figure something out, dude. Yeah. All right. Looking through my list here. Let's see.
Going through the list, find a good topic.
All right. Yeah, I got nothing. All right, but go ahead, man. I'll fucking manage somehow.
Tell him jokes.
All right. Oh, fuck. That's fucking boring. All right. Actually, I think I'm just going to look through fucking Twitter and see if anything on my timeline is interesting or not. Yeah. Although I saw one thing, which this is a pretty emblematic of the left, is calling everybody fascists. And was when Christina Hoff Sommers was speaking at I think it was Lewis and Clark College, whatever the fucking college was, and basically as usual, the people that were getting ready to protest her were like, "No, we got to make sure we don't allow any fascists on campus." And it's basically like I kind of tweeted back at him like, it's getting to the point where you're going to turn the phrase fascist into a compliment. Like, the people that you're calling fascists are obviously not. And again, I think anybody outside of the leftist sphere recognizes that the leftist behavior is far more fascistic than anybody that they're calling fascist, obviously. But like, dude, so they're getting to the point where it's going to be like, yeah, they called me fascist. I feel like I've arrived. Like, thanks for validating me. I've gotten to the point where I bother you so much that you've labeled me with that fucking tag. So yeah, it's getting a lot that way with that fascist, literally Hitler, or any of the other shit too. I guess the old standbys of you're transphobic, homophobic, you're a bigot, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm literally just trying to fill time because I got nothing to fucking say. Probably pretty fucking obvious, but all right. Let's see what else is going on here. Nothing. Sam Harris, that's who it was. Oh yeah, the other day I was talking to my son. Somehow Deepak Chopra popped up, and I was trying to tell him about. There was a time Deepak was at like a debate type thing. It was with Michael Shermer, and I couldn't remember the other person, and it just came off. It was Sam Harris. They're at Caltech, and if anybody's not familiar with Deepak Chopra, he's a fucking it's pretty obviously a fraud to most people. And the thing is, he was trying to. What he does is tries to sound off with a bunch of big words, word salad, I guess you would say. A lot of people who don't like can't go read through what he's saying and realize he's really not saying anything. He's just throwing out a bunch of big words. Well, he was doing that at this event, and this was several years ago. But he was doing it at Caltech and thinking he was going to get away with that. And it was really fucking hilarious because the crowd was literally like laughing at him. You know what I mean? Because they're all, it's Caltech. There's a bunch of fucking geniuses and shit. So, yeah, it was funny to see Chopra try to pull that shit off in front of an, a highly intelligent and educated audience and just watching them laugh at his fucking ass. You guys back yet?
We're back.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah, hearth in the house. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh,
I
man.
couldn't help myself.
House is ready to rumble.
I just sat there and it's like hanging from me. It's like I feel like the guy, sitting in the middle of the boxing ring, like the mat comes hanging down from the ceiling.
Oh yeah. What is the same thing?
Yeah, you sit there, you just kind of like cup the balls. The ball. Yeah.
It looks exactly like that mic, though. I mean, it's just not the fucking shiny silver color.
Yeah, it's just missing that old timey style. So hey, how's it going?
Hey, not bad. Yeah. I think it kind of works out better when I have nothing prepared to talk about when you take off, because then I just kind of ramble, and it's got to be entertaining on some level. Whatever stupid shit comes out of my fucking mouth.
Oh man. Oh, Mad Metal says we're doing wrestling now. No, we're not doing wrestling, and we're definitely not going to cover anything to do with Sunny.
No, what
porn was disturbing.
There was a point. It was a point that was disturbing.
Yeah, well, there was I was watching Mad Metal Man's Riff and Ropes, and they were showing another stream where they reviewed this wrestling chick's like descent into like drugs and porno.
Oh, fun!
And it was not pretty.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
It was very disturbing. It was very entertaining. I laughed my ass off.
Oh,
I'm fucked.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Mad Metal claims he was entertained by, I assume by mine, but I'm guessing he's just being nice.
I'll listen to it later, and I'll let you know if I'm just like tearing my ears off.
I can't even remember. I was just kind of scrolling through Twitter. I had some observation about how the leftists are turning fascists into a compliment.
Oh,
they're calling people like calling everybody fascists essentially that they disagree with. Never. And then somehow I got onto Deepak Chopra. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to revisit it, but anybody who doesn't know that Deepak Chopra is a huge fraud. Deepak Chopra is a huge fraud.
Settle.
All right.
Well, I guess. So I don't know if you guys have discussed already, but on the topic of, I guess, wrestling or fighting.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is my bit of kind of news, I guess, with among the YouTuber world. Have you heard of YouTuber boxing?
No, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, it's a thing.
They're fucking boxing each other now?
They're boxing each other now. I forget how far back it's going. We're going back a couple months, I think. So timeline check for sure. So one boxer, KSI, was fought another YouTuber by the name of John Weller, and it went actually pay-per-view. kind of satellite where you like have to pay to watch and all that kind of stuff, and actually got a huge, turnout. Like millions of people watch this fight because you have it turns into the whole drama thing, and it's a bunch of BS, like the whole all that fun stuff. And so KSI ended up winning winning that fight, and at the end of it, and I'll make this quick because there's so many videos that you can find on this and it gets ridiculous. So be my blip, and then we can move on. So KSI at the end of that fight gets the microphone and calls out the Logan brothers, or not the
Logan brothers.
Logan Paul, yeah, Logan Paul and Jake Paul. So the Paul brothers, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, and says, I'll fight one of you guys. I'll fight any of the Pauls. And so it was like this it's like a 2-month stint of them like going back and forth of just like ridiculous smack talking, and it's funny to watch.
Well, it's interesting though, because that's kind of what turned cable TV into an unwatchable morass of garbage, was that kind of reality bullshit TV. Like there was some fun reality TV when the genre first started, and then it just went fucking obscene. And now that YouTube is suddenly like bending over backwards to take that fucking cable company dick, suddenly the fucking YouTubers are starting to do this same kind of garbage fucking programming. And I'm curious, like, is that going to spawn a whole new platform?
So here's the thing with that, though, and this is where I'll count you on this. Why not? YouTube is so huge where you can
I don't
can
care
sit
if
on
they
one.
do it. I just think I think it might spawn another platform of people who are just like, let's do something that's not this same reality crap that's all over.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting.
I think that's what's neat about it is it takes, popular YouTubers or people who vlog or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you want to fight? Yeah, let's fight. And so because to me, like, especially with this particular situation, especially with all the shit that Logan Paul did beforehand, nothing would be more satisfying to see him get clocked in the face. See, like even just that fight, like I don't care about any of it afterwards.
There's a difference between me saying they shouldn't do it and me saying that I think it's garbage. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah,
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying I think it's crap.
Okay.
So that's a difference between like going like, oh, get it off of there. No more cable companies on YouTube. It's like, no, I just think it sucks that that's happening. I'd rather see that stuff on TV where it belongs.
And I think it's taking that much further of a step towards just taking over cable, because it's gaining some aspects of it. Going like, now what do you have, cable? What do you got left? Nothing. Go sit down.
Really large bank account.
Very, and it's because of years of existing. But it's slowly like, people.
Dude, 16 million views, dude, on KSI's channel for that.
Yeah.
Good lord.
And
dude.
It's to me, like I said, I pay money for it. Hell yeah, I pay money to see that fight.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not totally with it, but I wouldn't mind seeing either of the Paul brothers getting the shit out of them, dude. I'm with you on that.
So for this one coming up, I guess that it's gonna be like in August or something. This one coming up, it's both of them. Like KSI's fighting Logan, and then KSI's younger brother is fighting Jake. And so I'm like, you know what? I pay money for it. I pay money to see, even if they win, even if both of them win, I would still just pay money to see them get hit in the face, because Lord, that'd just be so satisfying.
Well, I'm glad people out there are enjoying it. People are making money, and that's I can't argue with that.
I can't because it's something that you haven't seen before on YouTube. At least I haven't seen before on YouTube.
You know what? I think more of what my concern is that YouTube is denying ad revenue to a lot of people who built the company through their content, and they're doing it on political bias, but that kind of stuff is totally fine. So they're like, oh yeah, people want to beat the shit out of each other on TV for fucking money, and don't get me wrong, like that's cool. People should, people are willing to pay for it, they should be getting paid. But people also want to watch, other content that they're not putting advertising up for, and in some cases still showing ads on the fucking videos.
Yeah, demonetizing the channel, but still showing fucking ads on the channel.
So they're still, YouTube's still getting their nut from the advertising company, but they're just not paying the other creators.
But so
and so maybe that's part of my frustration with the whole thing.
But what do you mean by like the whole Like, what's the problem with that? If somebody gets demonetized, but they still put ads, like who's the one that gets that suffer? Like, let's see.
Well,
like what
the
example
company is paying YouTube to play advertisements, so YouTube is making money for every time they play that ad.
Yeah,
they've demonetized a channel, so the person who made the content isn't getting paid for the ad that YouTube is running on their channel, but YouTube is still getting paid for their content.
Yeah, I understand.
So you don't understand why that's a problem.
No, I do understand why that one's a problem, but
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that kind of shit is going on. Plus, they're demonetizing channels that because they don't like their politics, as opposed to like.
I feel like in extreme situations that makes sense. And I'm talking like
that's really like I would, unless they're like, we want you to go out and kill people, like advocating like literal fucking violence and shit. Somebody wants to watch it. Then
like if we're talking about channels that just have excessive swearing or like just do weird shit, like I can understand that. But like, what's it? Another example. I need to stop talking about Logan Paul so much. But like for that guy, but he's the perfect example because he's definitely on a probation where he doesn't get any ad revenue. I don't know if he gets ads or not, but he doesn't get any ad revenue, and he's a stupid popular channel right now.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. All those channels should be getting paid. It shouldn't be about.
But that I'm perfectly okay with him not getting paid money.
With Logan Paul, I would understand if they said we're going to demonetize that video where you had the fucking body hang in there, but I don't agree with demonetizing the rest of his stuff. I don't like it. I can dislike it all I want, but that doesn't mean he isn't putting effort, and it doesn't mean that he's not bringing people to their platform and making them money.
I think he should at least get punished.
He should get a percentage.
I think he'd at least get punished for it.
If they demonetized him for a certain period of time,
and I think that's what's currently happening.
But they need to be upfront.
Yeah,
and they need to make it clear to everybody, like, hey, this is what he did, and these are the consequences we're
that's the point of following like YouTube on Twitter and stuff like that, because they'll send at least the ones that make revenue, unlike us.
Bigger channels.
I think they get those kind of updates and say like, hey, our platform's changing, this is what's going to happen, or you can find that kind of stuff available because it's exactly that. It's like, it's people's livelihoods. I'm all for, like I said, if somebody does like things that don't fit politically with some other people, or if it's excessive swearing or something like that, no big deal with those kind of things. No one should lose money. No one should lose ads. And they shouldn't have ads placed in there. Like, I agree with you on that. I talk about more of the extreme parts where it's like, that's when we can all sit here and go, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, if they're showing like Logan Paul showing a dead body, or somebody actively advocating for violence, death, destruction, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like, not in like a the end is nigh, stand against your oppressors kind of bullshit. You know, sissy pants, but more like and this is this guy's schedule, and I would like one of my followers to be here and here on this map of his home. Like that kind of shit you don't want. Like, that's not okay.
Some real class hole shit.
Yeah. But the political thing, my concern is sooner or later the pendulum's going to swing the other way. I predict within about 5 years it's going to swing hard to the right.
Yeah.
Really hard. Probably as hard as it swung to the left, if not harder.
Mm.
And I don't want to see the left silenced either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my concern, is like these things, the more it goes back and forth, the more animosity you get between the two sides, the more chance you eventually get for extremism. We're already seeing like people burning shit in the fucking streets.
See, and then now I'm going to circle it back. Then why not box it out? Why not?
Well,
it's like, hey, we have our disagreements. Let's let bygones be bygones and put gloves on and tip.
You're going to watch it. People are going to enjoy it. I think it's dumb, and I'm not going to watch it. Everybody wins.
Exactly. I'm just making the joke because I think it's like, screw arguing. Let's just fight.
You know what though? At least though, they're being honest about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff with the blood sports, people just yelling and screaming at each other on streams. Like they're claiming, oh, we're going to solve the problem. We're fixing things. We're getting people together. And it's total bullshit. It's like, yeah, that's not what you want. We know.
Yeah, it's a shit show. That's all it is, dude.
It's what you can probably do a lot online and just say whatever you want. Feel like you can say whatever you want and get away with it.
Yeah, well, you should be able to say whatever you want and get away with it, provided what you're saying is not directly illegal.
That's yeah. Or
That's
like,
the problem.
like
You're
if
literally
someone's
breaking
like
the law.
directly threatening somebody, it's like, well, what do you expect they're gonna do if they come at you? Come after you or confront you about it? It's like you're gonna have to face that circumstance, that situation.
That's why in certain situations I don't have a problem with doxing. If somebody's actively using anonymity as a way to harass or threaten somebody, like in a real way, not like I'm going to kill you. Oh, yeah, I like that kind of bullshit. And if somebody doxes a person who's literally violating the law in order for them to get caught and punished for the crime, I have no problem.
Yeah. So, what here, Daytwa, what's your take on people fighting each other?
Yeah, I'm all right with it, dude. I don't know that I'd want to watch much of it, but again, I would love to see the Paul brothers get the shit beat out of them. I wouldn't mind seeing, Andy Worski get the shit beat out of him. Trying to think of some of the other ones, but yeah, there's a few. But I probably, for the most part, also would not watch much of it, dude.
Yeah. Like I just saying,
it's an interesting concept.
That particular one, I mean, that's a good sell. After that, I don't know where you could go with it. Like, I really just don't. Like, so I don't know how many more of these you
can make. Some black YouTuber trying to fight PewDiePie because he whipped out the N-word.
Now it's the N-word.
Keep in mind, though, PewDiePie.
Is it the N-word now because Hearth is here? Because we said the actual N-word 20 times already in the stream.
No, I wanted to call back to your joke with Louis C.K.
Oh, yeah. You're making me say it.
Yeah,
my head.
Exactly.
No, I'm your censorship.
No, I just wanted to call back because he had actually went over that whole Louis C.K. bit earlier in the stream, and I'm like, I gotta say the N-word because it's just a callback to him.
Yeah, we had a discussion about how like actually saying the word nigger is like you can't say it at all in any context. Even if you're not actually calling someone that or directing it at someone as a racial slur, you can't say the word. You always have to say the N-word. And again, Louis C.K. has a bit about it where he's like, when they say that, like a lady on the news, he's like, in my head, I think, oh, she means nigger. And he's like, oh, now you're making me fucking say it.
I got to read the comment here real quick. Mad Metal Man, one comment, I advocate the oppression of all humans. They should make me their unacquainted master. After all, it's necessary because of the human privilege. Stop oppressing my totalitarian nature.
Yeah.
And, he follows it up because we were talking about the fights. He's like, I'll fucking fight Andy simpering Kaneki faggot.
I wonder if even Andy's fans actually buy into his tough guy bullshit. Because in real life he's a fucking coward, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, but I wonder if his fans actually are like, yeah, Andy's a tough guy.
All
right, let's not do. We don't want to bother Hearth too much with this because I don't think he even knows who Andy is, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know Andy Worski?
Andy Worski. Actually, that does sound kind of. Doing my research.
But Andy Worski's a little guy though, isn't he? He's like 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah, I have no idea. He looks like a little fucking Neanderthal.
He looks like a little Neanderthal. 40. I wouldn't if I was that dude. I wouldn't be writing checks my body can't handle because that ain't right.
Yeah, I'll fight anybody.
With anybody. I'm hella out of shape. I'd get whooped.
Yeah, dude. As long as the rounds are like 10 seconds each.
Although with Andy, I can just fall over on him.
That's what I'm saying. Just gotta do the whole just push him up against them and then starts a couple swings.
I think if my adrenaline was up, I probably wouldn't feel the pain as much. I could probably still lift one person up.
See, the thing is for a boxing match, I mean, obviously, if I got
a boxing match, you can't. It would be a whole different thing.
Yeah, I'd fight somebody.
Yeah.
I took a little bit of boxing for a couple months, and I definitely have to blow off the rust on that. But it's I'd do it. That'd be fun.
Oh well, I'm not.
I don't know about getting my ass. I don't know if I probably get my ass kicked, but
I'm extremely well padded though.
Yeah.
I have a punching bag between my vitals and their fists. So It'd be like a cartoon. They'd just be punching me and going, "Fucking what?" Especially with those gloves.
Yeah.
No. Oh man, maybe when I was in my 20s, I'd have fucking been like, "All right, that's it. I want to box some mofo."
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Mad Metal said a fucking cardboard cutout would do more damage to him than Andy would.
You know what? I really don't want to box. Because what if I found out, like, this late in life that I was like Butterbean and I'd wasted all these years doing anything else?
You just like blocking people.
How you're a great
one punch knockout anytime I punch somebody as hard as I can. And I'm like, I spent fucking how many years working in other jobs? I could have just been punching somebody every couple of weeks.
Yeah. He lost 3 teeth and a detached retina. Like, I'm sorry, I
could have been on TV, doing stupid shit for like Jerry Springer and
Butterbean 2.
I could have fought Butterbean.
Yeah. When a mountain meets a volcano. The immovable object.
Oh,
it's
man.
The unstoppable horse.
He's Butterbean, I'm Butterball. And he's like, you're trying to steal my thunder.
Yeah, Mad Metal said he'd be your biggest fan, dude.
Oh, no. No, the one problem is I abhor violence. I'm really not a big fan of like hitting people.
How could he be your biggest fan when you're just the biggest?
Well, that was the thing I was going to say about PewDiePie. Actually, come to think of it, is you got to remember that dude's from Sweden. He's like 6 foot something.
6 foot.
Yeah, they're all at least 6'4" over there.
He's got reach. I bet you that dude would drop a mofo. If he really like trained a little bit beforehand, I think he'd win pretty much every match because he'd have so much reach on everybody.
Yeah, reach is tough, man. I mean, coming from like how, like I said, from even the small bit I learned is like reach is something I don't have, so I have to get in people's faces. Which I mean, that can work for some people, at least if they're pretty. But if they're ugly, I mean, like that just turns all bad.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that's pretty. Now I get to rearrange it.
He's just like 6'3". Yeah, I think it's about 6'3". But you can still have a lot of strength. Swedish people have a lot of fucking muscle. It packs flat.
It's not like you're walking in these things cold too. Like you'd probably be like training for a while to like get yourself there and.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's different body types. Like you're talking about like Germans, Russians, Austrians. When you're talking about people that get real big, like Arnold Schwarzenegger big, but you can get just as strong and still be like looking like a beanpole.
Yeah.
For the Swedes, what a really good example of that. Although he is big now, although he is kind of big. It's what's his name? He's the action actor, but he's got like all these degrees. Blonde dude.
Van Damme?
Not Van Damme. Van Damme's dumb as a fucking rock.
That's why I was like, you're talking about Van Damme?
No. This dude is Swedish, and he's got like a doctorate in fucking like nuclear physics.
What movies is he been? You're talking about an actor?
Dolph Lundgren, yeah. Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, see, Mad Metal knew what I was talking about.
Oh, shit. Dude, did I say that before he typed it? I swear to God, I didn't do the term. Well, it doesn't matter.
Oh, I mean, you said it, and then it came up on my screen, so clearly you were a couple of seconds.
Yeah, we got it.
But Dolph Lundgren, like, you see how packed flat that muscle is. Oh, biochemist, my bad. It's still a pretty fucking... That's a meaty degree. That's not like a fucking, like, well, we wanted to say he went to our school degree.
Liberal arts. Communication.
That's we wanted to say he's went to our school. But yeah, he's got more than one, though. He's got like 2 or 3 degrees. Let me look it up because I know it's like he's crazy fucking smart.
That's nuts.
You will lose. Yeah. Which one was that? Rocky 4? Where he fought Lundgren?
He's been in so many good movies.
Oh,
well, that was like his first, the first one, right? Let me see, Dolph Lundgren.
The Dolph Lundgren.
Let's see, I'm looking in his personal life. Speaks Swedish and English. He speaks a little bit of German, Italian, Japanese, and Spanish. But he's not fluent in all 5 of those languages, as people have said.
Oh, darn, I partially know several languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rocky 4.
Swedish and English. That's pretty impressive anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, 173 IQ. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude's fucking like a genius.
Hmm.
See, I would
That's
never
crazy.
take those tests because I already know what my answer is going
I
to
mean,
be.
I don't agree with the IQ thing. I think it's bullshit. But I'm not going to deny that this guy's really smart. He's got several degrees.
Yeah.
So he was a degree in chemical engineering.
Wow. That's
And
fucking crazy.
he became an actor.
You would think that this would just be like some. Okay, I know he's got more than one. I know he's got at least 2 full degrees. I just can't remember. I can't find where the other one is.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts.
All right. Well, Stabby's obsessing. What else we got? Give us another topic while you're obsessing over
let's
that.
See what other topics I got that were kind of funny. There was a great little study that was like when you look into it, it was really funny. The study was so dumb. So a study said that trans kids massively benefit from being allowed to socially transition. And if you look up this study, they talked to 63 people. They did no long-term studies, so it's not longitudinal at all.
Yeah.
And they just asked them how they feel. And so I'm not sure how that worked.
Yeah, it sounds scientific, dude. Yeah.
Sounds really got deep in the details.
But it's in the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. Let's see here.
Sounds accredited.
I remember correctly here. They don't really go. They say it's part of a longitudinal study, but it's not longitudinal because they don't cover how long they went.
I guess anything's longitudinal.
Either it was never actually a study, and people are just misrepresenting it, and it's just a one-off from part of
a fucking survey.
It's supposed to go for a long time and hasn't even been published yet, which is entirely possible.
Okay.
It's basically a survey, dude.
Yeah, they talked to 63 transgender children and compared it with 63 controls and 38 siblings of the 63 transgenders. And all they did was ask them like a self-reporting, like, how do you feel kind of thing.
Okay.
So that doesn't actually tell you, like, in 10 years, is that person going to commit suicide? Because that's one of the big issues with the transgender community at large, because it is a mental health issue.
To me, that sounds like just an update.
It's not a study. That's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, here's the thing that we're working on right now. So far, it sounds good.
But it was reported widely as a study, and that was the thing that I thought was pretty silly.
Especially 65 people?
Yeah,
65 kids? Okay.
But if it's an actual long-term study, and that's just like you said, it's like a little report.
Yeah.
Then that could eventually bear out some relatively useful things. Oh, Amendment walked away for a second. We're talking about the study that claimed that transgender kids benefited from being able to transition during childhood.
Massively benefit.
It's trying to be
the in-depth study of 63 people being asked how they feel. That in-depth study.
That I thought I was a pony. I mean, I don't know that all those kids are actually transgender, and if they're gonna go, how far are they gonna go with it? Because if you're letting people dress up like a girl or a boy, who gives a fuck? You're not hurting anything. I don't give a shit. You let them wear costumes, let them wear whatever you want. Like I've seen kids running around in like the grocery store in the middle of January or February in like a princess outfit. It's like, oh yeah, it's cute. Kids are, silly. But if they're letting them take like hormones or get parts cut off or like
at 6 or 7 years old,
that shit's serious. Like that's not cool.
Yeah. And my concern is there seems to be parents that are like really pushing their kids to fucking be transgender. Like that seems to be happening. You know what I mean?
Concerning too, because it's like, what if that kid's not transgender? I mean, are they gonna have to like coming out like, no, mom, I really am just a boy?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why the transitioning thing I don't think should be happening until you're an adult, man. I think it's incredibly dangerous because it could easily just be a phase. Like it could be a long-term phase, but you could be thinking you're trans. You could have the dysmorphia. Or it wouldn't be dysmorphia, but yeah, you could go through a phase that was really long term, and then in a couple of years you hit puberty and you go, no, I'm not a chick. I'm a dude. I'm effeminate maybe, but I'm still a dude. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And if you've been taking fucking hormones the whole time, and especially if you had a fucking surgery to reassign,
that's the part that I'm concerned about. Like, I don't care if people want to, you know, let their kids dress up as whatever. Like, I really don't give a shit. Like, I think there was some article that everybody was upset over because they let a 9-year-old dress like a drag queen, and I'm just like, so
yeah, if they're not, like I said, if they're not taking hormones and all that shit, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Or shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, just some kid, you know, dressing up in weird, wacky ways. I say encourage it. You never know, man. It could be like the next Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm. Stench ever's here, man.
A kid that's trans, and you know that could work out for him in the future. Just don't do permanent shit when you're too young to make a
decision on your own.
Yeah, think about how long it actually takes you as a person to really have a solid sense of your own identity. It's kind of like, I'm thinking like early to mid 20s before you really have a fucking solid grasp on who the fuck you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd probably plant that about 25. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't, even for personal, you know, growth.
Right.
I probably made it out of college and I was like, I think I have a good idea. And 2 years in the end, and outside of college, I'm like, oh god, I have no idea what I was doing. Oh Lord, what is my life come to?
God, I think I was completely intolerable until like 22 or 23. I think taking LSD skipped a couple years at needing to like ripen. So as to be less of an asshole, you know? Like,
I was
like, wait a minute, to become less of an asshole, because I think whatever happened made you more of an asshole.
Depends on your point of view.
Yeah, it's a matter of perspective, really.
Yeah. I would hate William Stenchever in the chat. We got to acknowledge William Stenchever.
Hey, William.
Hey,
Stenchy.
Back. But yeah, it's dude, I was fucking viciously sarcastic, dude, in like my late teens, early 20s. Fucking asshole, dude. Like making people cry, being such a fucking sarcastic prick, dude.
I think everybody does that shit to each other, though. I mean, like the vast majority of people before, especially in high school, but like, you know, before like 19, 20 at the very least, they're just so unfucking. I don't know how anyone stands them unless they're related.
Yeah, they're pretty much all still kind of vaguely sociopathic, dude. You know, all of us until at least our late teens, man.
Oh God! Dead air. Boom. Mad Moments, is he still an inconsiderate fuckhead, the same he was at 17?
I didn't learn a damn thing.
Oh man.
Good for you.
Well, you know, judging by the direction that these blood sports are taking, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of people that never really got past the adolescent phase.
Although I was thinking about this earlier, I guarantee you, like, well, none of the ones that are participating, I don't think have any kids. And then, like, the fans, I'm guessing not a lot of them have kids either. I don't know if that's that connected, but there is something about that. Like, dude, if you think you're a patient person, have a kid, dude, and you will find out if you're really patient or not, dude. Fucking kids are infuriating a lot of time, dude.
Oh, I can only imagine, because I do find myself to be pretty patient with a lot of stuff, and only for the sake of I've tried it. Like I've definitely tried my patience on purpose to see how far I could actually go, and so I could probably still sit there and go, I think even with my level of patience with assholes and terrible people, like children would probably be still very challenging. So I'm not just not gonna walk in there hot shit. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't want to.
Yeah, it's definitely a test, man.
Oh yeah. So
I don't think I can handle it.
I'm with Matt Meadow on the last one here. He said he always hung out with people 2 or 3 times his age growing up. I always hung out with like, a few years older than me. Like I never really got along that well with people my own age, but I got along well with like my brother's friends, my older brother's friends. It was weird.
I always thought I've always hung out with people that were just like whatever age. Like I've never really looked at it.
Right,
People that were like way older, people that are just a couple of years older, people that are younger. Just like people that are cool.
See, I had when I was really young, I hung out with my older brother's friends.
Oh,
but then
you were close enough to.
Because we were only 3 years apart, so it's like it wasn't that crazy. Some of his friends were still younger, so they were even closer to my age. But then once they started getting just old enough, then that entire group left. I ended up with friends that were younger than me, and then by now, especially with dancing, like it's everybody.
Yeah,
I have friends I have friends that are in their 40s and 50s, all the way down to like around my age, like early 30s to 20, like 1920, which is kind of weird. Like that's, I will rightfully admit, it's there's definitely like a gap in conversation when you talk to people who are, 10 years apart, either direction.
It's interesting though, because I've met a lot of people who actually are on the same wavelength, who are like in their 20s on VR chat. Like I've also run into people that are my age too, though they're not as common. But it's a trip because like you don't have that bias going in of knowing what age the person you're talking to is, unless it's like they haven't hit puberty yet, and then it's a little kid.
Yeah. Listen to a squeaker running through yelling whatever word they might be yelling.
But I've met a couple of kids that are actually pretty decent, like teenagers who are like, they weren't like obnoxious and scattered. They just were like happy to talk to somebody and like engage in a positive way. And I was like, oh, cool.
That's kind of sad. Like I'm really happy we're having a positive conversation right now. It's like, are we that desperate?
No.
Are we that needy for good conversation?
You can tell like these are kids sometimes, like the 13-year-olds, you kind of get the feeling that maybe they don't have a lot of friends their own age.
Okay.
Or maybe they're living in some area where they don't get that interaction. Because there are still some people who are out like in the fucking, on the farm and shit, but the internet is there now, The
internet has come. It has come and
but you think
its righteousness.
Well, especially if you're a kid and you're mature for your age, you're probably, again, like I was younger, you're probably not going to get along with kids your own age if you're at a higher maturity level. So being online VR chat, you're going to be able to interact with people that are closer to your level.
Well, and I also think the internet ages people. Like, just makes them a little more sophisticated in a lot of respects.
The internet sophisticating people.
I know.
It can. Results may vary.
Okay, I can get into this.
Watch out for side effects.
So there are psychological stages that everybody goes through as they grow up. I believe it's like Erickson's got like 7 of them, and somebody else has got a couple of others.
Yeah.
But one of the major stages to maturing into an adult is having the ideas that you've always been taught and the ideas that your parents have put forth as right challenged. And I think the internet does that at a much younger age than normally you would have that kind of thing challenged prior to the internet, where your only interaction was with the people at school.
Yeah. Because I can see that.
You're seeing all these things that are like, run the entire gamut of just crazy fucking opinions and personalities and stuff put out on the internet.
Yeah.
That I didn't have when I was a kid, man.
And see, I guess the issue I have with that is that kids are impressionable for the sake, like that is during a time you develop. So holding on, let's say you hold on to those ideals or go against the ideals that your parents have or your peers have. And then when you get older, you kind of develop into that, like, no, I'm going to pick and choose for myself.
Yeah, well, that's ultimately what you want. That's the point of having that contradiction.
Yeah, and I think with the internet, it gives you the crazier kind of side of thought processes, but then it's hitting somebody who's in a developmental situation, which that will feed that crazy very early, and so they might be coming into society with that, hey, I like this crazy. I'm going to hold on to that crazy. That's my concern with that.
You get a lot of that stuff from rebellious kids anyway.
I feel like
but the thing is, you combine that rebelliousness with extreme point of views that they might not have been subjected to without the internet.
Oh yeah, there's definitely that. Yeah,
these weird kids are going to be weird kids. Like that can happen. Like just weirdness finds a way.
At the same time, I feel like there's a certain threshold of stupidity. I know this sounds fucking awful, right? But there's a certain threshold of stupidity that's going to hit, and it's not going to really get past that level of dumb. So if your kid is really dumb, then they might fall for that extremist stuff a lot more easily than a kid who's not dumb.
Yeah,
and that's sort of like
yeah, I can get that. It's still just like it. I feel like it causes more effect potentially.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I just know that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
To be fair,
yeah,
I would argue that it's got positives and negatives. Like, there's going to be kids who are going to get taken in by this extremism, but there's also kids who are not taken in by extremism because they're already raped in that, and that's they're having this outside conflict. That's
I thought it was just for the sake of like you're going to go in the direction of. So since we hear terrible things happening all the time, our kids are older because they're just fucking jaded because they already know all the terrible things that happen in the world, whether we like it or not. It's just crammed down our face.
I'm sure there's some aspects of that, but that's just such a cop out.
We're starting to kind of get the early results on. I would imagine at this point of how the internet is, or the easy availability of the internet is affecting these kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. And especially like fucking porn. Can you imagine how much different you would probably be if you had the easy availability of porn that anybody has nowadays? Like it's apparently it's already fucking with like relationships and stuff. Like, like most kids are not getting into relationships. They're just fucking, hooking up for porn to fuck, and that's it. Because they have so much porn to watch.
Sorry, I just mentioned that I watch VR porn. I've watched some of that recently because I was like, I have a headset for playing like the VR games. I'm like, well, of course I got to check out the porn
for scientific purposes. Yes.
And then Garth made the mistake of asking me because I am like that asshole who does the dad jokes. He's like, "Where'd you get that?" And I'm like, "From the internet."
Like, go fuck yourself.
The look on his face is like, "You son of a bitch." No, I had enough money left over with my tax return to pay my mom, and then I had enough with savings to buy it. So
okay.
I saved a lot of fucking money.
Nice.
I thought I wasn't going to get as much for my tax return since I did.
See, I'm hoping that's a situation for me because as a very not procrastinating person, I don't know how much I'm getting back in taxes.
Oh, you haven't done your taxes
yet?
You should do your taxes.
I should probably do my taxes. I mean, like I say, I got the rest of this month, which is good, but this month has been absolutely insane. Or this week so far.
Unless you have like some sort of complicated thing, you got to claim a bunch of stuff. Go to like Tax Act Online. It takes 15, 20 minutes.
Like I don't own enough stuff.
Yeah, you're just doing the simple, easy forms. It takes 15, 20 minutes on taxact.com. It cost me $15.
This podcast is not brought to you by TaxAct.
It's not brought to you by TaxAct, but I've used them for like 4 years. They've never fucked me over, and it never cost more than $30.
You just need to have that. I'm waiting for you to get that like
ad
book like thing to say.
Like an ad read. TaxAct, doing America's taxes since 1979.
This live stream sponsored by TurboTax.
Stabby's lying. It wasn't a tax return. He just started working at the time. The other thing is I bought one of the cheaper headsets. I didn't buy like a full-on VR. I bought the mixed reality headset.
The mixed reality?
Because it's only like $300
like
as opposed to $600 or $400. So,
but so reality headset.
It's the only difference is you can't get leg tracking as easily. You have to do some weird hacks. And if you put the sensor behind your head, the cameras in the visor don't pick it up, so it doesn't track it. But the tracking it's just as good as any other, the Oculus or the Vive in front of you. It's just when you got one hand back here, it can't track it because it's not in the camera.
So you just kind of have to keep it in front of you?
Yeah, which, I mean, the only time that it's never come up in any of the things I've done. And I think the only thing is if you're playing a game that involves shooting a bow, it might be an issue.
Pew! This is like just putting your hands in front of you, like you're shooting a rubber band or something.
Oh yeah, well, Mad Metal Man's talking about can't wait to do his taxes this year. But you own a business, dude, so that is
get on it.
A whole fucking other level.
You got another month.
Oh, Max Burr wants a wrench, absolutely.
No wrench.
Welcome, Max Burr.
We have more people.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, dude, but I can't.
I've seen him in many a chat room and on many other streams. Max Burr's a cool dude.
Yeah, right on.
Oh, welcome.
Stabby vouches for you. I guess you're all right.
Well, that and there's so few people in our chat that I'd like to give wrenches so that nobody ever goes to the risk of getting timed out.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, if you type too many messages in a row, it times you out for like 2 minutes or some crazy shit. Like, and there's no way I can control that.
All right.
Other than giving people wrenches, because
type as Mad Metal gave him a stamp of approval as well.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll jump him in later.
It's weird.
Yeah, blood in, blood out.
Blood in, blood out. Oh man. Oh, that was a fucked up movie. I don't know if any of you guys ever seen Blood In, Blood Out, but that was a real fucked up movie.
Wait, that's a movie?
Yeah. Who goes to prison and like gets raped and joins like prison gang and fucking gets out and fucking rapes his girlfriend.
So okay, well, for one, that's messed up. But two, how as a crim major, how did I not see this movie? Like that's
it's so ridiculous and it claims to be more realistic, but it's not. It's probably not at all realistic as to.
So I've probably even taken classes where they talk about like some of this shit gets really ridiculous, and it's like movies take it over the top all the time because I watch some wild shit, like really wild movies.
Yeah, have you seen Zoot Suit?
Oh right, yeah, actually yes I have.
Yeah, I would say for some reason I kind of equate those as similar movies, but that might be just my weird fucking head.
I haven't seen Zoot Suit, so I can't. Yeah, I'd have to give.
It makes that song so different once you understand what it's about.
Oh yeah, no, Zoot Suits were not like
like that's to me. I'm just like that blew my mind when I first like finally found out like what the Zoot Suit riots were. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Like, oh like, no.
Oh, shit, that's not the happy-go-lucky thing it is.
Yeah, it's because it's such like an upbeat, like really happy song. It's just like
another song like that.
What kind of drugs?
Heard, what is it? I think it's Andre 3000 or is it Outkast? Outkast song Hey Ya.
Yeah.
There's a version done by Obadiah Parker that is a totally different song with the same lyrics because he sings it in this slow, melancholy way.
Yeah.
And you hear all of these really fucked up things that really got into the song, and it comes off entirely different.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna tweet it out. I'll message both of you guys later. Or I'll look it up and put it in the chat right now. But it is fucking, it will blow your goddamn mind. It is a trip.
And no, it's not a picture of a dick.
No, well, it'll be YouTube link, so it'll be.
Yeah. How about American Me? I guess that would probably be a closer.
American Me. I think that's another one I've seen. God, what?
Yeah, for some reason those three movies kind of blend together for me for some fucking reason. I think they all have Hispanic people in them.
That's just your draw. You just have to watch movies with Hispanic people in it.
Yeah. I'm enamored with the culture. I even knocked up a Mexican chick.
Oh, okay.
I have a little half Mexican kid sleeping in the room over next to me here.
Yeah, he doesn't half-ass it, man. When he gets into a culture, he makes part of it.
Yeah,
get balls deep in that culture. Man.
I get balls deep in that culture.
God damn it! Oh, that was good.
You're welcome.
All right, so I share that all out. The Hey Ya thing. It's such a trippy version of the song that makes you think. You're like, oh damn, that was some really dark topics that Andre 3000 wrote into a song that sounded really fucking happy. Oh, what else? Oh, there was this crazy shit that I saw on the fucking, here it was, on the internet. We're doing a lot of talking about kids and development and stuff. I just thought I'd share this awful thing that I saw. California couple arrested after 3 children found living for years in a plywood box.
What the fuck?
Shoot him.
It was in Joshua Tree, California, which is definitely out in the desert.
Yeah.
Real fucking hardcore desert. Let's see.
I'm guessing meth was involved somehow.
Oh Lord.
Oh yeah, that meth was definitely involved.
And like, I guess the parents, I looked into it because I was like, did the parents live in a similar situation?
Yeah.
So like, that was the camp kitchen. The kids had up there to fucking make their food at.
Hey, you know what? Some kids are outside kids. Some kids are inside kids.
So yeah, and the one thing I want to know
Some kids
is
are outside kids. Some kids are inside kids.
I guess that one took a while to sink in.
I didn't guess that. Yeah.
I was like, was it just not was it that unfunny or?
I didn't catch the inside
It was
kid
a slow
outside
burn. It just took me a minute because I was looking for a good image to get on that. No, I got it.
That's
now.
nice. That's nice. I'll take it. So wait, no, what's the context? Why the hell are they all out there?
They just lived out in the fucking boonies in Joshua Tree, out in the fucking desert where nobody was.
Okay.
And the parents, I guess, had 3 kids and decided to fucking keep them outside in a fucking plywood box.
But they're also living in a plywood box.
Well, they were living in a trailer, so they probably had like AC and shit.
Yeah, that's a pasteboard box.
I wasn't seeing a trailer in the whole.
They don't
video.
show it in that video. I couldn't find anything that showed.
That's kind of a big deal.
I couldn't find anything that showed the difference because the story just didn't get covered enough.
Okay, yeah. See, but that's the thing that to me when like watching that video, it's like that's a big deal. It's like no, this is where they're living. This is where their kids were living. Like that's,
I wish it showed that, but
I thought it showed I thought at the very beginning it showed a quick shot of the trailer.
No, I don't think it did. But
okay.
I must have closed the tab and
too late.
I'm too lazy to find the story again.
Anywho, that's a bit different story, but it's just like you are a huge piece of shit if you're letting or if you're telling your kids or forcing your kids to sleep in a box.
Yeah, well, metal man, don't wear your kids in the trailer while cooking your meth. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, they were actually doing those kids a favor.
Really good parents because
Oh yeah, you don't mix your kids in meth.
All those noxious fumes going on.
No, it's the worst because they might get into the stash.
Oh yeah, you don't want them taking
and that's fresh product, man. You don't tamper
with it on kids.
That shit's pure.
They won't appreciate how pure it is.
Exactly.
They won't appreciate
that.
And they're dealing with a bunch of coked up children. So there you go.
So you want to be a certain distance away for the inevitable meth lab explosion.
Yeah, that's the kind of situation that lasts until your oldest is old enough to figure out how to dial child services. And then you're fucked. Now that you can figure out how to call the people that'll fucking put us in jail, and then they get to go live with fucking. Because really, at that point, foster care is better than living out in a fucking box in the fucking yard.
Mommy, what does CPS stand for?
Yeah. They'll make you eat liver and onions every day. They'll beat you. But mommy, wouldn't that be better?
It's like, do I get to live in a house?
Yeah.
What the hell is the weather there? I'm trying to think. It's a desert, so it's got to be pretty fucking hot, right?
It's out on the edge of Death Valley, I thought.
Joshua Tree is a mixture of hell hot and freezing.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's a desert.
God damn, dude. That's fucked up.
Yeah. It's the one thing that was absolutely fascinating, and thank God I was only in Palm Springs, is that it's during the day. Yeah, you're kind of, it's hot and humid and gnarly, but then when the sun goes down, it gets frigid, man.
Yeah, it's down.
Yeah, it'll drop at least even where I live at, like it drops usually 30 degrees overnight at least. It's 30 to 40 degrees temperature drop overnight.
Here, I'm gonna screen share this.
Yeah, see, Palm Springs is just west of it, so it's like.
But it's also on the southern portion. It's on the southern edge of Death Valley and the Mojave National Preserve.
So yeah,
let's see if I can screen share this for folks because it's pretty messed up.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Palm Springs. It's similar, showing a high of 84, low of 56, dude. God damn.
That's not.
Yeah. So it's a similar extreme to here. Yeah.
And then this is all Death Valley. So it's on the edge of Death Valley for people. It's on the southern edge, no less.
Yeah, and how do those rocks move around, dude?
How did what rocks move around?
Oh, have you guys never seen that? There'll be
the ones with the trails behind them.
Yeah.
Didn't they figure out that they thought it was like tremors that were so like people just didn't feel them, but they were actually just enough to move the rocks because of the way the sand was or something.
Mm-hmm. Or it might have. I think they also had a theory of when it did rain that they would just slide along with the wind and rain because the rain makes it mud and it just slid through the mud.
Slides through it. That could be it too.
Yeah. Although in that case, the trail behind it wouldn't be all that discernible because more rain would have, I would imagine, fall. So
I just say it's because of science.
Yeah. No, I think
they moved the Egyptian stones for the Egyptian pyramids. I think they moved them by using floats and using the river.
No, all of it was aliens, dude. Come on. I asked George Sakalakis, and he said it's aliens, dude.
Yeah, they were thinking what they did was they built like leather bladders around the stone. Filled them with air after they pushed the stone in the water, and then the air would raise the stone up, and they could float it using different kinds of water locks and stuff like they do to raise and lower you, similar to the way they do it in the
Panama
Canal, where one side is like 50 feet higher than the other, and they got to step down with water.
Wouldn't that kind of structure still be there though? If they're going to use something like that?
No, they would have built it out of wood.
Okay.
I mean, what else would they build it out? They couldn't use stone because they're already,
and a bladder that would be able to hold something that heavy. Like, it's straight limestone, isn't it?
Yeah, because they're like 100 tons each, right? Or maybe
unreasonably heavy rocks.
They did the calculations and it made sense on the TV when I watched it. I don't have much more for you.
It made sense when they did all. Everyone else did the science for me and all the math.
They did all the math. Well, they explained the math on the TV, and it made sense when they were explaining the math because they were talking about formulas for how much it takes to displace.
Buoyancy.
Oh yeah, no, 2.5 tons. Sorry, I was
that might not be.
That is an impressive bladder,
and it was just a one of the theories. So they're not saying like it absolutely happened or it didn't.
It's got to be aliens.
Got to be aliens.
Yeah. It's just a bunch of Egyptians with probes up their asses. They're like they'll lift 2 tons.
It's not really aliens. It's just humans from the future.
Yeah.
Because they've done everything's gone virtual, and so they don't need genitalia in like a billion years.
Yeah, that's
and
ridiculous.
They're just coming back to fuck with us because they're bored.
That's so ridiculous. It's obviously humans from another dimension.
Oh, that could be it too.
From the future. That's silly.
That makes a little more sense.
Because like all the way in the future, some people sat there at circled around a table going, it'd be really funny if we made a giant nipple in the middle of Egypt that you could see from space. Then they tried, they're like, oh, we can't get it that big, so we can't see it from space. So
I would absolutely do that.
Exactly. So they just try to make a giant square nipple.
I would fucking do that. Like I would absolutely do that if I knew there was going to be this other planet and there was life just beginning, but they weren't real smart yet. I would do all sorts of shit to fuck with them in the future. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Put up a huge monument that they will not be able to duplicate for at least 5,000 years.
And make it so that it just makes no fucking sense with any of the other cultures.
It's
like here's all these cultures, and then there's this random monument that's like Bozo the Clown, and you're like, they didn't even fucking have clowns.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell did that happen?
Ancient clown.
They're like, clowns? What are clowns? This is nothing we have anywhere else in any of our cultures.
Why does this rock painting? Why is there a dinosaur on here? There's no dinosaurs here anymore.
There were never. They must have made it up.
Isn't the story with the Great Pyramid like they never found the actual body of like who was ever in the tomb?
Oh, like the Great Pyramid, like because I know they found. Oh, yep.
I don't speak
the dialect. On and talk at the same time. I know they found bodies in other pyramids. I don't know if they ever found the one in the Great Pyramid.
The story goes that they haven't found. They found like after they cracked it open that there was no body in there. Like they
I don't know.
Found means of like it being in there at some point. Either someone already robbed it and took the body out.
Yeah, there's a lot of
they definitely
and stuff. So
they definitely got broken into a long time ago. Yeah. So apparently, what they would do is they would like build like a fire around the base or whatever, like right next to the pyramid, and then I guess they would throw water on it, and the heating and the cooling would make it crack. So they would keep doing that over and over again to burrow into the thing.
Huh.
Oh, clever. Because there were a lot of death traps if you went in the correct way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you opened this entrance to get in there, there'd be all sorts of weird death traps. So you'd kind of have to burrow from another angle. Because they did not want people messing with their dead bodies.
You'd imagine that.
That's when they started putting them into fucking places at the Valley of the Kings or whatever. They're like, people are just going to keep breaking into these ridiculously huge pyramids. Let's just shove them in a crack in the fucking wall in the Valley of the Kings here.
Yeah, oh, well, you know, I mean, that culture. Egypt, well, no, they didn't even fall. They're still around today. So I don't know. That one actually held out.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the pole shift theory. But there's this theory, or pretty solid evidence that the poles have not always been where they are. That they've actually shifted over the centuries.
Switched from north to south.
Yeah. There actually is a theory that says that what is the South Pole now used to actually be in a temperate region, and that last time it happened, last time it catastrophically shifted, somehow the people that would later become the Egyptians knew it was coming, and so they got out of Antarctica, or what became, you know, the South Pole. They got out of there and ended up landing in Egypt. And now the South Pole slid underneath, you know, ended up being, you know, the South Pole. And then now it's all covered in ice.
Maybe that's the origins of the Atlantis.
So did we actually, the Earth turned that sumbitch sideways. And now we're going to shove it. Okay, never mind.
But no, apparently there's actually evidence for that, like that the poles have actually shifted like a bunch of times. You know, over it obviously a very long period of time.
Long periods of time, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That'd be a trip.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't want to be around when it happens again.
So you want to? Well, actually, we're talking about a little bit of craziness, weather shifting, all that wonderful business. So I'm going to talk about what could potentially be either just bonkers weather or climate change. The snowing that happened here in at least about an hour and a half north of us. I shit you not.
Snow. Right.
So we are.
We had snow a couple of years back.
Like, but nothing kind of like this. Like it's still pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Like we're in pretty good weather.
Yeah.
Like, true Mediterranean climate. You know, not too hot, not too cold. Our cold is like 30 degrees at its worst. You know?
Yeah.
And our high can be in like 100, 110 if it's on the worst day, like maybe one day.
Mm.
But to actually be cold enough to actually have snow is kind of remarkable. And for the last like 2 weeks, we've had like the most bonkers weather of hail and slush and like just even in the mid California.
Oh, you're not talking about in our part of California.
But even us, like near us, like I said, about an hour north, we're getting snow up. You know.
Well, I was gonna say, I thought you meant like in our city, and I'm like, I think I would have remembered that.
No,
that's why I was confused.
It's not that bad. It's getting there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had snow and stuff in our city before a few times in the past.
About December.
Well, yeah, but
not March. Not after. But it seems like by this point
we're getting like a delayed rainy season this year.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how like crazy frigid everything is right now, and that usually the snow doesn't keep up like this as much by March.
Yeah.
By mid-March going into April, like
well, we didn't get the really cold weather that we normally do in like December and January.
Yeah, and the thing is, it like waited an extra month or two, which is kind of bizarre for us.
And
so it's weird, like it's not like crazy over the top, but it's like I don't know what's gonna happen. in the next couple of weeks.
Well, global warming in and of itself, generally, people I think it's going to be like colder colds, hotter hots, and stuff like that. But really, it's going to be more like hurricanes and stuff.
Yeah,
is what they're worried about it causing is more extreme weather. So
that
might actually fit under some global warming shit.
Yeah, because I feel like it's just going to be Tourette's weather.
Yeah, Tourette's weather.
You're like all of a sudden you're in April, and you're like, oh hey, this week is really good. I wonder what next week. Oh, it's snow.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we doing this?
Oh man.
Middle of June, middle of July for us, it'll be like a nice balmy like 90. It's like, no, it's gonna be 130. Have fun.
Yeah,
have fun having your car melt into the floor. It's like, okay.
We did 115 last year, I think, on one day. So we got some pretty hot weather.
That's definitely like if you see me walking in drawers, just my drawers. That's I think that's well deserved. I'll let it all hang out, man.
Let's see. Oh, this was funny. I thought everybody might get a kick out of this. So there's a satire news site, sort of similar to The Onion, called the Babylon Bee. So
take this as true, honest information.
This has been reported on a bunch of things. This is the only one I didn't have to try to disable my ad blocker to show. But it's louder with Crowder. I should screen share this, I'm sure. But I think almost everybody's probably seen it at this point. Yes. This is pretty fucking hilarious. Facebook went all the way to like labeling it fake news, and here we go. A page, you the admin, the Babylon Bee recently posted the link. CNN purchases industrial-sized washing machine to spin news before publication. That contains info disputed by Snopes.com, which is super fucking biased anyway.
Yeah.
An independent fact checker. Repeated offenders will see their distribution reduced and their ability to monetize and advertise articles removed. So Facebook, and this is like, but clearly this is like an Onion article. The Babylon Bee does not purport itself to be an actual news source.
Yeah.
They're like The Onion. They're like, we make up funny shit and then, poke fun at all the other people.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty fucking funny. But Facebook was like, we're going to fuck you over, man.
Like, but we're
it's not actually a news site. I don't know what your complaint is.
It's just news in the title, man. Come on. Yeah. Or it's just like it just says news when we write stuff. I guess technically the Babylon Bee, but
yeah. Well, then again, there was the Trump president comment today that was pretty fucking funny. Like how much people flipped on that shit. That was pretty fucking hilarious. Did you hear about that one?
No, I did not.
Okay, so let me fix everything up so we can see the chat again.
Hello, chat.
There we go. So Trump apparently met with the new president of China, who just got elected president for life of China, and was joking around about it and said like, "Oh, maybe we'll try it one day, in the U.S. or something like that." Because he was like, and so all the left-leaning places reported it as like he meant it, like.
I don't see it as something that's very. He does.
I don't
this
think you should say it.
Yeah.
Period. I think it's a dumb thing to say for the president to say. Yeah. Period.
I think he pushes that button a lot, where it's just like, okay, I get it, even if you're joking, but as the president, you don't say these things.
This is okay. This is one of the things I love about him, though. To be fair, is he's constantly jerking the fucking news around all the time with these just little offhand remarks where it's like he'll say shit and be like, oh yeah, da 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 da, and it's almost like he just sits there afterwards and like you don't see it, but later on he's in his house going hee hee hee, like a fucking troll or some shit.
It's like a little 10-year-old. Like, haha, I said a thing. It's gonna probably cause people to get all angry at me. Yeah. That's entertaining for me.
I know it's terrible, but at the same time, it's like I can appreciate the art that trolling is. And he's got the media fucking so and crazy.
That's fine and dandy.
But they're reporting his jokes as serious threats to the government.
Because the only issue with that is the fact that he is our president. That's what causes that kind of dilemma. It's like
But doesn't that show how ridiculous we've let the whole system get?
Yeah.
That's what I really love about this whole thing. More than anything else is like our system is so fucked at this point
that we let him win.
That everybody in a lot of states, almost half the country, really wanted him to be president.
That's scary.
That's how bad all the lying and the fucking
that's
stealing.
To me, that
robbing.
is terrifying. Like I think that was even quoted. I forget. I'm trying to remember who actually quoted it. It's like it's not so much the fact that Trump is our president that's terrifying. Yeah. It's the fact that there's enough people who actually voted for him to be president. Those are the ones that it's like.
I was looking at Hillary Clinton and the other guy who openly was starting to talk about wanting to do like 50% tax rates for everybody, and I'm like, what the fuck?
And the thing is there's people who are going to promise all kinds of shit.
Yeah,
and you have to wade through all the bullshit because a lot of that stuff's not going to actually happen. Because
we're so
like lack thereof bipartisan shit when it comes down to how we design laws and pass bills.
We haven't really had anybody from any other party than the globalists in the last like 20 years almost.
Yeah, it's just we don't play. No one plays ball that way, and that's the horrible fact. And so that's why it's
But at the same time, everything Trump talked about, he's avidly gone after trying to accomplish.
Yeah, but no one's touching it. So it's doing the exact same thing.
A lot of stuff has gone through.
Yeah, I guess the parts he's forced through, which also doesn't exactly like executive.
And the Supreme Court has backed a lot of the stuff too. They just struck down all the lawsuits in California trying to prevent the wall. All the people raised a bunch of like. I think I've got the article here.
And see, once you start doing, like, I understand, like, the whole Supreme Court sovereignty law, but it's like you're going to start trampling on the 10th Amendment too.
What? Wait, how is the Supreme Court trampling on the 10th Amendment?
No, I'm saying I'm saying if you're taking
the laws.
No, I say it's like you have to worry about that if you start like taking power away from the state side.
Well, but they're not. In every case that the Supreme Court has ruled, it's the states have used the Ninth Circuit or a similar court to curtail and prevent the president from using powers that he already has in the Constitution. So he's not usurping the state's powers in any of the things he's done. It's literally they've directly denied him the right of the president and tried to curtail his powers that the Supreme Court has overturned. And in some cases, they've sent it back as like sort of a message. In this case, they knocked down, they pointed out that no, in fact, illegal aliens do not have the same rights as citizens. And states cannot just let them out of the jail in order to avoid having them deported, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, no, then that's not even a President Trump thing. That's like allowing ICE to do their job, which has been, a big issue. I mean, that guy that killed that lady in San Francisco not long ago with the accidental firing the gun down the road into her out of all the other potential targets that would have not been a person, but, he was only out because they had just let him go.
Yeah.
Before the ICE could get to him in the first place. And, I mean, that's the standard federal authority that ICE has. And, it's good to see bad legal rulings where they're essentially legislating from the bench get overturned by the Supreme Court, because that can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
Because especially when it comes to presidential acts. So, there's a lot of people that seem concerned about when the president uses a presidential act or order, an executive order to accomplish something. Well, that's not permanent. That's not solving the problem. Well, fucking duh. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a temporary fix, and then Congress will either address it or they won't. But with things like DACA and stuff, that directly violates a lot of our laws, and it never got solved and never got resolved by Congress making an actual official law. And that's the problem. We can't keep treating executive orders like permanent things. So, all the things that Obama did are just being undone by executive orders by Trump, which will just be undone by somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's good that the Supreme Court is overturning them, because you do want them to be temporary. You want them to actually have to go through Congress and be addressed in a much more appropriate way, in a much more representative to the people's wishes way.
Yeah. And that causes...
I mean, there's the bipartisan issue too, and that's going to make it harder.
Yeah, but, and that's the point I was going to bring up, is because, I mean, let's be honest. Either one for president, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Honestly, I even though I know a lot of people don't like Hillary, I think it's less of a crapshoot, because it still would have been a fight for bipartisanship anyways.
Well,
we just have something someone who's less spastically insane. That's that unlike what we have right now. I honestly think that this is like a man-child that somehow got the key to the kingdom that should never.
Except it's all like of our economic things are improving.
Yeah, but
lowest rates of unemployment in years, lowest rate of black unemployment in history.
But then also you do know that most economics do have delayed reactions.
Oh, it was not Obama's actions that did this. Obama was Bush Jr. in a different suit.
But then people were saying the same thing with Clinton, saying the same thing with
Clinton,
Bush Jr. Like saying like
Clinton's actions, Bush Jr.'s actions, and Obama's actions were all the same.
I'm saying like there's
so
always
we had a huge boom in the 80s.
Yeah,
huge economic boom. Whether you want to say it was Reagan's policies or it was other things going on, personally, I think it was the way they were doing tariffs. Not the trickle down economics. Trickle down stuff is nonsense.
Yeah, that's it.
But the NATO, North American Trade Organization, is what really fucked our economy, and that was done with Reagan in the back door. So he took what essentially was a boom that he was handed, signed the death notice on it, and then Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama kept sinking it further, more and more. So we're now seeing an economic upturn because we're getting better policies economically. Now, whether those will be effective long term, I don't know, but they definitely will be effective short term.
And see how's that a fact? Like, how's that happening? Given the fact that he's like pissing off everyone else that we like.
Well, he's pissing everyone off, but that doesn't fucking matter when it comes to what is and isn't the policy, the tax laws, and the regulations.
But we still like when it comes down to certain, besides employing ourselves, like we have to like importing our goods. We probably importing and exporting.
The other countries can hate us all they want. They're not going to fuck with us on a business sense because we'll fucking destroy.
I'm still waiting for that one country just to we'll pull our carpet. They pull our, we pull theirs. They pull it. Everything goes to shit.
Their economics will be destroyed. Look at Russia.
I know. I'm saying like everybody's economics becomes destroyed.
No, we'll be fine. We have more than enough resources here to be fine without much international trade. You make that face, but
I make that face because
we have oil, we have coal, we have gas.
I make that face though because we spend enough time hating each other that now we don't have outside help. That it comes down to
we're not getting help from other countries.
No, I'm saying like when we become, we're already hating each other like eternally. So now we're like, okay, so now we've closed off from everybody else. Now we have to rely on each other. Yeah. Oh dear.
Well, in the most unlikely situation that we closed off from everyone else, we grow more than enough food for ourselves. We have more than enough resources to power our cars, electricity, and construct all the things we want to build.
I can already see people holding that over other people, like just like I got the food. What are you gonna do? And it's just turned into a whole nother shit show.
It would depend on why we isolated.
Yeah,
I don't think we would isolate because we hated each other. That doesn't make sense. If we became more isolationist, and believe it or not, our economy has always been much stronger when we were isolationist. It would probably be because we were less, and had more cohesion between the states and people.
And then makes me wonder how this would work because a lot of companies, for instance, they do try to outsource.
Yeah,
it's like,
but that's what drives our wages down. So if they couldn't outsource anymore, it would actually drive our wages up pretty substantially.
But not if they just up and left.
But we would just get new companies because we still would want those services, and we have more than enough resources to provide.
When inflation happened, though, like
wait, what are you talking about?
Well, you're saying companies that would be able to sell because what makes things, the point of exporting is the fact that it would make it cheaper, right? Like outsourcing your stuff.
Like the point of outsourcing, okay, so you're looking at simple supply and demand when you're talking about outsourcing.
Yeah.
So if you have 100 people and 100 jobs, then there's exactly the right amount. If you have, and everybody's going to have like just a pretty average wage. If you have 80 jobs and 100 people, then the companies can say, hey, we're not going to pay more than this amount, and you'll have much lower wages. If you have 80 people and 100 jobs, then the people are going to say, hey, you want us, you're going to have to pay us a reasonable amount to work. Because it's not going to be so much that you can just hold them over the barrel and make them pay you $1 million an hour or some silly shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, extremes like that just don't work outside of like third world dictatorships, because then you've got the guns pointed at you. And that's going to lower wages. So when you outsource, what you're doing is you're saying, well, we've got 100 jobs, but there's only 80 people in the United States, but there's 160 people waiting for those jobs in all these other countries.
Yeah.
So now we have 100 jobs and 260 people to choose. So you're actually lowering the wages of your own workers in your own country by allowing that.
And see, that's the one thing I'm wondering. This is still a thought, because obviously I don't understand so much about economics.
Yeah.
But like, you can pay less wages given whatever, certain countries you go to.
Yeah.
So let's say we're making this easy. $10. It's $10 if it's in the US, $10 an hour or something like that. Well, let's say you go to Mexico, it's $5.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's say the company goes, well, I don't want to pay my employees 10, so I'm going to just leave. I'm like, oh, but we'll make a new company that's in the US. But then they'll ask for 10, which will make it more expensive because they'll have to upcharge the product.
Here's where you balance that out. You balance that out using trade tariffs, which is what a lot of the trade treaties and stuff that have been going on before, some of which Trump redid or just pulled out of very cleverly. And I don't think a lot of people understood the impact it was going to have. It basically allows us to tax those goods so that they're not saving as much money by outsourcing, so that it's more competitive for our workers.
Okay.
So in other words, like you go out and you have these goods manufactured in Mexico because it's $5 an hour, and so it's cheaper there. Well, now that these tariffs are in place and these trade things have been, reconfigured, you have to pay all these taxes on those goods to bring them into the country so that they're not as cheap.
And you don't think that's going to drive up the price of those goods? It's like, okay, well then I'll just sell my stuff for more to make up for that tariff tax that you're selling.
There's a certain amount of aspect where that may happen, but there's only so much of a market, and anybody who's getting their stuff built here is going to be able to sell it cheaper because they're not paying those tariffs.
But then we're already, let's say to buy in the US, you already have to pay more, because that's kind of, for some reason, it's true. Yeah. It's like, so that means we will have to pay more for goods now, because there's a chance. Well, no, because like I say,
in the long term, because the U.S. has such a powerful market because we have so many people who make so much money, rebalancing out, having more money at the bottom so that it can flow. Because the main thing is you want money to keep flowing. You don't want it to stagnate.
Yeah. You
don't want all the money in like 10 bank accounts.
Yeah.
That only 10 people use. But so say Verizon is making cell phones and it's cheaper to make them in Mexico, but now there's suddenly less. It's not as cheap to make them in Mexico.
Yeah.
But it's cheaper to make them here. Wouldn't it make more sense for them to move more of their manufacturing here to sell the product here?
But if you make a cell phone in Mexico and it costs you...
And you can still sell those internationally and still make money, because it's not like other countries aren't going to want your Verizon cell phones.
Yeah, but I'm still saying, like, it's still going to be more expensive to buy a Verizon cell phone that's made in America in comparison to buy one that's made in Mexico.
They could raise their prices and not compete with other people. Well, I mean, it's just cheaper, but or China, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
They can do that, or they can move more of their manufacturing into the country and beat out the other cell phone companies to raise the prices instead of moving manufacturing into the country.
But that would still overall increase the price.
No, it wouldn't. You're not seeing what I'm saying. So instead of making all the phones you're going to sell in the U.S. in Mexico and then importing them for more money, you save money by not having to pay all those extra taxes on the stuff that you're importing by simply making it in the United States.
And I get that point, but I'm saying, like, my point is making it in country is already more expensive than making it out of country. The only thing that's making
everybody's
going
to have to raise their prices to a certain extent, but everybody's going to have more money on an exponential level than that one particular good.
I worry that it doesn't balance out as much as people would hope.
Historically, that's how it's always worked.
So
I'm just saying, like, throughout history, it doesn't end up making it does improve the economy for everyone.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't understand in economics enough, but I do understand the stuff that made in-house is more expensive than out-house, and just adding a tax to the out stuff doesn't sound like it's gonna.
Well, and then the other thing you also got to keep in mind is quality. A lot of the stuff that's made in these other countries is extremely low quality, whereas it's extremely higher quality made in the U.S. So
that's why I said, like, that's why I figured
there's also the thing of, if you buy a shirt at Walmart and it lasts you a year at a quarter the cost of a good shirt at, like, Macy's that's made in America, but the shirt that you get that's made in America lasts you 8 years. If you're paying like $5 for a shirt that lasts you a year and $20 for a shirt that lasts you 8 years, you're paying less overall for the shirt that's going to last you for 8 years than the one for, even though the other one's cheaper. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to include that part. That all plays in. Plus, getting more of the materials in the country is going to increase jobs that way as well. There's all these different aspects.
I feel like I'm following that up a lot with, one will hope that it'll do this. One will hope that it'll cause more. One will hope that it'll make more jobs. And
the truth is, you don't know until it happens.
Yeah.
However, in every case in history, that is what has occurred when they do that. So it's like, you're looking at what's the precedent for the action, because really all you can do is say, well, this is what's worked before. Let's try it and see if it works now, because what we're doing doesn't work.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, if what you're doing doesn't work, making a decision is better than making no decision, even if it's the wrong one, because you can always make another decision again down the road.
All in all, we'd probably just end up screwed.
Yeah.
And, the whole system implodes anyways, with whether or not economically or not,
well,
but
it's socially. The globalism. The globalism is the problem. You can't displace people to the extent that they're displacing them in all these countries with people from third world countries who don't fit in the culture. I mean, they're bringing in, like, these, like, violence and the crime and the beliefs that are, like, extremely contradictory to, like, the culture of the ones that are coming in, especially, like, places like Sweden, where, like, their murder rate doubled, their rape rate, like, quadrupled. And they're displacing their own people and taking all of this wealth that these people have built and saved over generations and giving it to a lot of people that just they are bringing in from these other countries who've never contributed anything to it. So, I mean, it's like, if you look at our Social Security, that's part of what's going on with our Social Security. Like, you've paid into it since you started working. I've paid into it since I've started working. We're probably not going to be able to collect it, but they're giving it to a lot of illegal immigrants and legal immigrants.
But then also
who've never.
But also, like, you have generations that are already getting older on top of that.
Yeah,
like I say, like,
well, there is a little bit of the people living longer, but that's not nearly enough to explain why all the money is going.
And also, then you have people who are on assistance and stuff like that, not immigrants. So I'm just saying, like, people who are on assistance.
No. I agree. There's a lot of other issues, but
that all feeds into throwing money out of what would be our Social Security.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that's not a problem.
But we should plug the leaks we can plug and then worry about the other stuff afterwards, because I'm more content, say, if somebody has worked for 10 or 15 years and they've paid into disability and then they broke their back and now they get to collect on it. I'm okay with that. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
But you take somebody who illegally crossed the border and give them welfare checks, which we do in California and Arizona. They haven't contributed anything to the welfare to start with, nor has any of the generations leading up to them being here. So we're just giving away our money to people that shouldn't be here in huge quantities. And it's a real big issue. I mean, California is suddenly for the first time in 50 years, there's more people moving out of San Francisco than in the Bay Area.
That's just the fact that you can't
actually
afford to
leaving
live
in
there.
large amounts.
You can't afford to live in San Francisco.
Well, I mean, that's part of it. But
like,
there's also much higher crime rates.
It's still the fact.
Climbing.
I've looked at the numbers on how much it costs to live there, and it's insane.
Yeah, but you have all these companies that are with tons of high-paying jobs like Google and stuff like that have offices there. So I mean, there should theoretically at least be balance.
Not enough. There's not enough tech companies or tech employees per the amount of people who actually need to live
dismissing. See, I'm not dismissing cost of living. I think cost of living is part of it, but you can't dismiss the rise in the crime rates and the violence as well from bringing in.
I mean, see, that's the thing where I would want to see a number of like how rough the crime rate has increased. Because for one, it's still a city. It's still a big city that crime rates are going to be.
There's two issues. There's two problems with that. So one is what people are reporting is that they're leaving because of crime and like, you know, and it's not just like rape and murder, but like petty theft and vandalism.
Yeah.
One of the problems is in a lot of these cities, they've started adopting policies where they're not allowing their police to enforce the laws with certain groups of people. It's sort of how Portland is going on with Antifa. They weren't allowing the police to bust and arrest Antifa for a long time, and you were getting those riots in the streets.
Yeah.
It's a similar issue going on. I mean, I know it's not a statistic, but I've heard at least one story where in what was it, Los Angeles, this woman was raped by a local gang of people not from Mexico. I think it was some Arabic country. And the police refused to investigate or do anything about it, even though she could identify her attackers. They just keep saying, oh, we're investigating. But it's been, 5 years. They're clearly not going to actually do anything.
Yeah.
So this woman was brutally gang raped and they never got arrested. So that doesn't go into the statistics.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But,
I understand how the UCR works and everything.
Yeah. And so it's unfortunate. Like, it's a weird situation. And it's not that I have a problem with any particular group of people. We do want immigrants. We just want it at a more controlled rate. And we don't want to just open the borders and let whoever in because, we only have so many resources. They can't go and support Mexico and Syria and all these other countries like that to that extent. And
it's designed now that it's a tough spot where you have a lot of people who are coming over doing work on like farmland and stuff like that. Like it's hard to be like, no, I'm just going to take all those people away and then who do we give them to? Give the jobs to? It's like there's people. Well, no,
people in our country.
But I'm saying,
I mean,
that's the interesting part is like those aren't going to be great jobs that people.
Those aren't great jobs because there's so many more people willing to take it than our jobs are available. If you cut off the flow of this easy, cheap labor of people who are going to willing to live at such a low standard of living in order to get that job, then they end up having to pay more. And yes, the cost of things go up, but so does the amount of money that people have in their pockets.
I still worry that it's not gonna balance out the way that
but I mean you're talking as about much as, slave labor is cheaper, so we should keep it because it keeps our costs down. And it's like
not slave labor, but it's like Jesus. But
but in China it essentially is, and that's one of the biggest competitors for labor that we have.
Yeah,
I mean you heard about the Walmart shrimp.
Well, no,
right?
And you're right. Like I'll admit that you're right. It's like what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah. Inaction is still an action.
Yeah. I think that if you're willing to look the other way because these people want to work for $4 an hour instead of getting minimum wage.
It's having the fact that if you pull them out and then it's like, okay, here's your job. Like the people who are like, I want to work there. They're it's like the whole like South Park joke. They're taking our jobs. Like, okay, now they're gone. You want that job now? Oh.
The reality is people will take those jobs.
Okay, but then they'll sit there and be like, okay, well, we were paying them $4. You're going to get $8, which
so suddenly
feeds
these
back into my
who are getting over have to actually pay a fair wage,
which will
and keep in mind
feed into my concern of things just getting more expensive, and then
the other thing you're not keeping in mind is there's a lot of money that's just going into executive people's pockets that could be going into wages that under those circumstances probably will get sucked back out of the executive pockets and put back into wages.
But then it'll just be like, well, I wanted my new golden toilet, so let's increase our prices on stuff. Okay,
but you can only do that as much as the market allows, and there's competition to prevent that from being allowed.
If it's happened to everybody. Everyone wants to make money.
Sooner or later, you end up with a Bolshevik revolution, and people just kill them all. I mean, I don't know where you think
and that's
the economic changes Trump has made have been overall extremely good for our economy. I don't.
No, it's just sitting there. It's sitting there and being very
logic thing is gonna.
It's sitting there and be very honestly being very cynical about it. Like that's what I'm. That's how I'm being with it. It's just because it's not for the sake of Trump doing this. It's just saying it's like someone has us by the balls so hard by this point that it's like if we do anything that's going to shove anything too hard, that's going to just cause such an explosion where you're like saying it's just going to cause a revolution. There's a good chance that it's probably just we're not going to figure our shit out until we start actually killing each other.
That might happen.
And see, that's terrifying.
But that would still be better than where we are now.
Yeah, and
I mean, honestly,
I don't know.
Are you looking forward to working until you die? Or would you like to have a retirement? You know what I mean? Like, because the average person right now is probably never going to see a retirement.
Yeah.
At our age. They're going to end up working until they're literally died. They're not going to have that, 5, 10, 15 years of retirement for all that hard work that they've done, that they get to, live off Social Security or whatever retirement they've socked away.
And I hope it turns real serious all of a sudden because I'm sitting there. It's like because I hope to not have to. There's a damn good chance that I'm going to sit there. It's like, okay, am I going to be a salesman or a probation officer for my career, or am I end up going to be a soldier because our revolution decided we all started trying to kill each other?
I don't think it's going to come to revolution.
I honestly, this is the one time as the person who tries to be the optimist. I think it'll cause us to actually have to start fighting each other to actually figure out what the fuck we want to do.
I think you're underestimating the power that we have as purchasers in the market.
I feel like greed's just too damn good with people who are like, I already make enough money.
If we don't start electing people who aren't supporting that, like Trump right now is basically dismantling a lot of that power structure that's keeping that in power.
Yeah.
If we don't continue on, not necessarily Republican, Democrat, or anything like that, but people who are going to actively go after that kind of power structure, if we do that, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because then those corporate executives, their power doesn't mean anything. Because if they can't control the laws, what the fuck are they going to do? Nothing.
Yeah, that's the one thing
and that's where the key is.
Seem to notice that lobbying is the dumbest thing on the planet.
Well, that's how we got as bad as we are now.
Exactly. I don't know who started it, and I don't know why, but I know why. Yeah. But
which is what Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama all basically were puppets for the lobbyists. That was the problem.
Yeah, plus Obama was a powered pivot plant, dude. Don't forget that.
Yeah, it wasn't about were they Republican or Democrat. They were all globalists. Basically controlled by the lobbies, because if everything is global, then there's going to be a very small elite group of people with all the wealth.
And whether that's, no matter what the situation is, lobbying pretty much controlled one branch couldn't even control one branch of government. But if it controlled the Congress, doesn't matter what the fuck the executive did. It has its powers to do only so much, but with full sway of one branch of government, you can almost stalemate the entire thing and cause it to do nothing. I know checks and balances are a thing.
Could overturn virtually everything that the legislative pushes through.
Sorry, Samuel.
The Supreme Court, the judicial branch, can overturn everything that the legislative branch pushes through if it's all not above board.
But if you sway enough,
well, that's why
and that's what I feel like has happened for the last several presidents.
Well, and that's why
it's one after the other. It's like, let's do this. Nope. And then it's just they just plant themselves in the sand like some 9-year-old, And like, I don't want anything to happen because it doesn't benefit me totally, but I'm still getting paid, so I don't give a damn. So,
yeah. Well, that's my concern with like the Ninth Circuit Court directly trying to take away the president's power. You know, saying, oh, I'm sorry, even though it directly says in the Constitution, you literally have this authority, we're deciding that you're not allowed to. And that's what the Supreme Court is overturning over and over because, and this has been going on for way before Trump was in office, keep in mind.
Yeah.
It's a real issue. It's like California shouldn't have the decision on whether or not there's a border wall on the southern border because that doesn't just affect California. That affects every state around it. The same thing with sanctuary cities. You know, it's not like the people are just going to stay in that area. They're going to keep going and they're going to spread out to other states. It's going to affect other states' economies.
That does still fall under a state's ability to do, even whether it's like saying for the wall that just affects California. It's like it's still a fight that they can make. Like whether they win or not, it's still a fight they can make under their ability.
Well, if you're saying they can abuse the judicial branch in the Ninth Circuit Court to file lawsuits that hold no merit, sure, of course they can. But it falls directly under the federal authority to cover the borders and to protect them. And it's never been a state's right. It never should have been.
Well, I think I'm just saying that it makes the argument. They make the argument because state, like it's like trying to have the balance of state power over federal power.
But that's already been decided in the Constitution. It's a federal authority. The federal is the one that protects the borders of the country.
Yeah.
That's why we have that weird strip where like fucking your rights don't apply within 50 miles of the border or some crazy shit. I'm sure they covered that when you were doing the law stuff. Yeah.
Not too much of it, but
I don't
not too much, but exactly for that
thing,
little cookie, little tidbit for 50 miles out. Like I don't quite remember that part, but that's a little
might
wild.
Not be 50 miles. It might be 25, but it's a pretty extreme distance.
Because like I'm thinking like 25 miles in, you're almost into the city of San Diego, off the border. Like you're saying this, like so that means like the southern end of San Diego doesn't have the rights. It's like
it's not like you don't have rights. It's very specifically.
or
it's the 100-mile border zone. I'm sorry, it was 100 miles, not 50.
Damn, that's like
that's up into Carlsbad, man. What the fuck?
Yeah. So I'll show this on the thing. This is the ACLU, which is still fairly accurate. I'd say they're pretty reasonable folks. Not like the
ACLU and accurate don't generally go together, but all right.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about like just this is a pretty basic fact here.
Yeah.
So within this 100-mile boundary, essentially, you don't lose all rights, but you have to be willing to prove citizenship, and they can search without the necessity of a warrant in most cases. It can be fought, and if they're literally completely out of line, like they'll lose in court. Like you'll win a lawsuit, but they'll still search.
Yeah.
But it's important to note, like that is, and that's been agreed upon by the Congress and the courts. So it's a weird quirk of our fucking system. But that's part of the whole federal power to protect the borders. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's like
it's an interesting argument because it's like it's covering a particular state, even though for federal it's supposed to be. The federal's supposed to guard the border.
Oh, I didn't stop sharing. Whoops. My bad.
Thank you for that bit of Michael Jackson.
Oh, man. You want to talk Cloward Piven? Who's Cloward Piven?
Yeah. It was back when you were talking more about like the welfare and shit. Cloward Piven's strategy is basically it's from like the late 60s. They came up with this theory that in order to produce real change in the system, you have to overload the welfare system beyond its breaking point. And there's been theories, allegations, or whatever that Obama strongly believed in that, and that's why he was kind of letting everybody in to help to try to overload the system.
That's believable though.
Yeah.
I do know that a lot of the economics that are being driven in this country, the free market economics, that are essentially similar to the anarcho-capitalist kind of thing. Because there's a big difference between having a free market capitalism and the way that the anarcho-capitalists are talking about it. It's all driven by essentially like a mad scientist from fucking our country and Nazi scientists. Well, actually Nazi economists who are, basically working on how to use an economy as a weapon. If you look at just after the Gulf War, when our companies went in and literally just fucking beyond bankrupted Iraq, was all based on that free market stuff. So the concept that they would be, doing this like, well, if we overload the system beyond its control in order to fix it, I can see the higher ups thinking that that's a good plan. I mean, but then, we're all putting our tinfoil hats there. So
yeah. Yeah, no, it's a lot of misery in between, though. If you're going to go that route, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? Sargon talked a lot about like Rome and the fall of Rome, and how the U.S. is sort of following along that similar pattern, and how Trump represents what could have saved Rome if he hadn't been assassinated. Like one particular guy that a lot of people think is the case, and obviously it's an extreme stretch.
I think his tinfoil hat's in his back pocket, maybe.
Yeah, but I think populism is the way to go, because for the most part, I think most people want to make the country better. I don't think that that's a partisan thing. I don't think like the lefties are trying to fucking destroy America and the righties are the only ones going to save it, or vice versa.
Yeah, I just think we have our means of doing it, and that's where we
may have disagreement on how to go about it. But
different ideas on how it should be done.
Yeah, different ideas on what's effective and what's not. But if you go populism, people that actually represent what the people genuinely want, most of the time that's the same shit. I want to get, fair pay for what I do. I want to be able to retire at a reasonable age. I want to be able to go and see a doctor and actually get help. Like those are pretty similar desires in most people.
So do you believe the whole like dying in a waiting room Canadian style healthcare?
I think that there are a lot of issues with the way that works. And part of the problem, I believe, is they don't really have any allowance for private medical care.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, because, look at the fucking DMV, man. Do you really want medical care run by the same people that run like the DMV?
Isn't it kind of like maybe not?
The DMV is a private company, but it's all regulated by the government. It's essentially run by the government. It's just because technically the government can't charge you the way the DMV can charge you for licensing. There's weird tax and purchasing things. Essentially, the government can't force you to buy something.
Yeah.
Legally speaking. And technically, when you're licensing yourself to drive a car, you're buying a license. Now, it's a sneaky way to go through the DMV, because then you're buying it from a private company and the government's just saying, hey, look, you have to have a license to drive. How you get that license is up to you, but this is the only company that's allowed to make that license. So it's a weird workaround. It's similar to the way Obama pushed in Obamacare. The government can't actually do that the way they did it. They actually considered, they wrote it as a tax, not a change in the law, and that was the problem with it. That's why there were fines if you didn't want to be part of it and everything.
Which they really waived anyways, because there's times where I was like, either 2 months out of the year I didn't have health coverage. Yeah. And they're just like, don't pay anything. I'm like, okay.
Well, whether they waived them or not, it's a pretty inappropriate situation to be in. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dave Swap might correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't believe they completely removed Obamacare. I think they just removed the fines.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken.
Because
honestly, I don't know.
The thing is I have a personal soft spot for Obamacare, because it kind of saved me from going bankrupt myself.
Yeah, no, I don't have any. The only disagreement I ever had with Obamacare was you had to pay a fine if you didn't want to be a part of it. And I'm like, this is the United States. Why do I have to pay a fine if I don't want to have this insurance?
And I guess I do kind of, let's see, if it's regulated well, and if I have access to healthcare, like if I get sick or if I get hurt or if I need some shit done.
Oh yeah.
And if I can just go and do it
without having to fucking lose all your money and end up fucking on the street from it.
You know, it's like if that's the case, then let's regulate it that way. Like that should not be the, you know, like it should be the accessibility to as many people without destroying ourselves internally.
There are other ways to do it than the way Obama did it.
True.
With more aspects of a free market.
Because what is terrifying to me, as you know, is if I get incapacitated and I can't work, I can't pay for my health coverage because I can't work.
Yeah, no, I fully understand what you're saying. Yeah, well, I mean, the average household is like one paycheck away from being homeless.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, then with something like universal healthcare, it's like, okay, it might be something that's still accessible if I need several months to get better.
Yeah,
and then like,
well, that's also with like disability and workman's comp and stuff.
Yeah, and it's just having to worry, or if it takes too long, then I end up screwed and having to pay out of pocket, and I don't make enough to survive that long.
Like. Well, one of the things Trump said, and I think a lot of people who really hate Trump haven't listened to a lot of his speeches.
It's hard to sometimes, man. It's really hard sometimes.
But one of the things he said, you know, Obamacare is just the worst possible way of doing what he did. But I absolutely agree that we don't want people to die because they don't have money. That's ridiculous. Like, that's what he said. I don't want people to die because they don't have money. That's absurd. He says, but we can fix it. We can make it better.
It's hearing some of the crap he says for his social views is what really just like it ruins it for the parts. If let's say he does fix the system.
Oh, he's not a good person.
Yeah, like when it comes to like hearing that part, it's hard to hear the parts that might actually help.
Yeah, I don't think he's a good guy. I think he's a cold-hearted fucking snake. I just think he's the snake who has a narcissistic need to be liked by everybody. And is willing to do whatever it takes to put his mark on society in a way that's memorable by doing what people actually need in the country. Right now, it's like, hey, let's give him a shot. He's doing the right thing so far. And, you know, all the other options were, you know, more of the same shit we've had for the fucking 12 years. So change is better than
yeah, I think his motivations for wanting to do the right thing shouldn't really matter. You know, he mainly wants to do it for his own fucking glorification. But if you wanted to make the world a better place genuinely, I don't really care why. Whether it's your own ego or you're truly altruistic, doesn't really matter. You know?
Yeah.
He is definitely what they would. I think it was Sticks that described him as a constructive narcissist, as opposed to a destructive narcissist.
I think it would be really like I feel it's kind of a slap in the face if we have at least structurally have Trump help fix our system.
Yeah.
Like that's just true blue. Like we really got it to get this
pretty broken.
Like, oh no, it's broken. I just think it's like Tabs because as a person, like going off of him as a person, it's like we had to put that much of that kind of piece of shit in a place of power to help build our system back together. Like we couldn't have at least put someone who's at least a half decent. Like you don't have to be a saint, but like at least an average.
I just think that's super American if you think about it.
Human being. The average morals, like
honestly,
you're pretty decent all around. There's that one quirk that kind of makes you seem somewhat racist, but you still like pretty okay. But
I think we've had a sort of
still there's like a decent fucking
false view of politicians from the get-go. We're sort of taught these heroic, untrue versions of what our early presidents were really like.
Yeah, probably.
And really, they were all a bunch of fucking gangsters. It's pretty much been gangsters since George Washington. The only really good thing he did was like help us win the war and not take the kingdom, because at that point they were all like, we're fucking rebels. And so it was sort of like the punk era of fucking our politics.
You're the moody teenager era of America.
Yeah, but they were all fucking gangsters, man.
Oh yeah, and that's the one thing I think we do glorify, and to some extent, like to respect. Power. Yeah, I do understand, like, to respect those who have helped design our country, blah blah blah. You know, like that's, you have to look back in your history and kind of have that.
Yeah, you want to have pride,
positive feel. You know, like I do understand, like feeling pride for your country. Yeah. You know, why do we root for ourselves when we go to the Olympics? If every other day, day of the year, we're gonna be like, well, fuck America because
no. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. I'm just saying I think we've lost touch with it. It's made us weak in that people think that when somebody pretends to be that good, wholesome, all-American fella or lady, that everybody's like, oh, they must really mean it.
I don't know.
I guess I'll vote for them. You know, and that's with like Teddy Roosevelt. You know, I mean,
wasn't Teddy Roosevelt kind of a weird guy too? Like it's just I don't know anymore, man. I give up.
Well, the thing is, like most of the vast majority of the politicians are beholden to some corporation or other. You know, usually multiple ones, and Jesus, I lost my fucking train of thought, dude. But yeah, and that's again, we go back to what you guys were talking about with the lobbying, dude. Like that's why, they'll say one thing in public, but they're all, almost all they do is going to be to, help out the people that have donated to them the most.
So two things got to happen. For one, just get rid of lobbying.
Yeah.
just kill it. I don't even know why it's still here. Like, so we don't know
that started with the Supreme Court actually basically writing laws from the bench.
See, that's the one thing.
They determined that corporations were equal under the eyes of the law to a person.
Oh yeah,
and that money was free. Money was free speech. Money was speech.
Well, we don't want to retread that whole path again. I'm just saying that. Mention it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, well, here's the thing: is knowing all that, they basically, I really think that I don't know where, but somewhere along the lines, they introduced these ideas, making things important that are not that important for the average people to fight over.
Yeah.
To distract us from the fact that they're, beholden to the corporation. So they got us fighting over shit like, trans rights or fucking gay marriage or, whatever the fuck it is. It's shit that, I don't know, to me is not a big deal. And I don't think it would be to most people. Yeah. But that's what they, that's what they put out there. And that's what fucking people end up thinking is like, yeah, I don't know, man. There's other shit too, but
I think the whole right-wing left-wing thing is a fucking dog and pony show, to be honest.
Yeah, there's not that much different.
Oh,
the fact that the Clintons and the Bushes have fucking Thanksgiving together nowadays, is a little fucking weird.
I just feel
like actually not.
I feel like that to me is just like it's just nothing but a jab session the entire time.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what that is, because there's like, how can you complain? It's like, oh well, I used to be president. Well, I used to be president. Like it's just, by that point you don't care, because then we'll be sitting here at home. Like I'll be sitting at a Thanksgiving table with some family that are like hardcore, a little more hardcore right than I would like. It's like you can be conservative. That's perfectly fine. But it's like when you start kind of drifting a little towards the now
super moralistic, religious,
like a little too much spice. You got to bland the turkey with something else.
Well, I don't want communists in power, and I don't want moral religious
religious
zealots. Yeah.
Because the whole point of Congress is to have like a means to meet in the middle and create something that's supposed to help everybody or the
Well,
most.
it was
amount
all
of
designed
people.
to keep the states from going to war, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, it was essentially like instead
Everyone
of
to
having a
bitch
bloody
about
war
what
every
they
so
needed.
often like they do in Europe, we're going to have all these representatives that the states elect themselves, however they so choose, that will do all the fighting for them without guns.
We should just take over Nevada and call it East California.
Yeah, there you go.
New California.
Well, they did want to split the state. I kind of support that, splitting California into a couple different states.
Yeah, but they made it in like the derpiest way. Like
they've never come up with a realistic plan.
Yeah, because I was looking at that, I was like, no, this is terrible. Like, what are you doing? It's like if somebody like started drawing a line, then started sneezing, having a sneezing fit, and kept the pen on the paper.
Well, that's usually how that kind of thing works. It's weird pockets of just conservatives and Democrats. It's sort of like how they gerrymander shit. Still
Like the
for
freaking thing in Pennsylvania.
Elections.
Like the Pennsylvania thing? Oh,
like
God.
I
saw that political map, and that's...
Yeah, it gets ridiculous.
That's a
after
laugher.
A while.
Yeah.
That's a laugher.
No, the area that I live here is like that. Like the city I live in, which is south of Phoenix, is in the same district as Flagstaff, which is about 150 miles north of Phoenix. Yet we're somehow gerrymandered into the same district because we both have a lot of Democrats, and they want that restricted to as few districts as possible.
In order to get at least one or so congressperson that's Democratic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, no, it's to keep it to one Democrat congressman, so all the other districts in the state are Republican.
Oh yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, as opposed to letting it be like more realistic.
Yeah, like if they were both part of another thing, there might be more districts that would vote, majority Democratic. And it works the other ways, plenty of other places. I'm sure Maryland, which, as far as I can tell, is the most fucking heavily Democrat state in the fucking union. Probably works exactly the opposite. Like there's, tiny little pockets of Republican areas that they've gerrymandered into the same district, despite being nowhere near each other.
I got to read Metal Man. So, do you think if the government fails, we could implement a political blood sport style system? Politicians fight to the death, hand to hand, no weapons.
So, okay. All right, so we got to pump the brakes. Probably go in the political shit before we drive ourselves into the ground.
I was going to try to get us off the political shit if I could possibly.
So let's slam the e-brake on that one, because I've been hearing you guys talk about the blood sport thing, and I actually don't know anything about that.
Oh, the blood sports thing. Essentially, it took rational debate and made it into just a shouting match.
Okay.
But they still claim all the moral high ground of like the intellectual. Like they claim to be, we're right, they're lying. We know the truth and we have evidence, but they can never show the evidence.
Yeah. They're like, no, there's some reason because it'll invade someone else's privacy if I show you the information. They'll have bullshit excuses for why they can't show.
And then anytime you criticize them, they fall back on, we're just entertainment. It's like, but you don't represent yourself that way.
Yeah, you attack. You don't attack that way, but you defend that way. It's
exactly.
Like it doesn't work.
Yeah. Can't have it both ways.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's what I kind of tried to squeeze in at the end of last Sunday's thing, is where I was talking about what you just alluded to it a little bit, is basically they'll find some way to discredit you and to make it where they don't have to listen to you, whether they brand you a liar or whatever the fucking reason is. They'll find some reason why they don't have to fucking argue with you anymore, and they can just yell at you and call you names.
Okay, so let me give an example, because I was talking about it earlier, but I don't think I ever really went too far into it. There's a bit player named Geek Thulu. Like, he's not a big guy on it, but he's like a little smaller channel, way bigger than our channel by a lot. But
that's almost everybody.
But I kind of got a little bit into it with him on Twitter because I was making some criticisms. Was I criticizing? I forget what I was criticizing. I was criticizing.
He does it too much. Shit. He forgets who he's criticizing.
Well, because there's these people that are like, these blood sports people get pissed off when you criticize them and can't handle criticism without turning it into like, we're going to yell and scream at you and have our followers harass you kind of thing.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
And
Sounds about
internet. He was, what was he doing? He was, you're a pussy. If you want to talk about this, we'll talk about it on my channel. I'll host. And I'm like,
that's the thing where it's like,
and then
you didn't.
And I said, you know what? I'm not really interested. I don't trust it to be an actual rational discussion. It's just going to be him touting the party line and potentially getting a bunch of other people to come in and yell at me. And I'm like, why would I do that? It'd just be boring. And that's because I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not going to sit there and be harassed.
And there's a few like Geek Thulu who are determined to be the official fucking attack dog of the bigger group. Yeah. You know what I mean? Of the bigger guys. So yeah, whenever you criticize it, these little fucking guys with smaller channels will go out of their way to attack you. And again, I don't know I can't obviously know absolutely what their motivation is, but that really seems to be what it is.
Motivation is
hey guys, look at me defending you guys.
More money from the live stream donations.
Right.
The chat, whatever. When people pay like a couple dollars for like a super chat, so that it's they read it out on the stream thing.
Yeah.
And I remember what I was criticizing.
You don't remember who you're criticizing too, but what?
I think I was criticizing Andy Worski, but I was also criticizing Geek Thulu and the rest of them. And I was just, the general thing is, what they'll do is say, if you're not going to go on one of their streams and do everything by their set of rules, you're talking behind their back. You're talking shit. Everything is sneaky and dirty, and you're a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Twitter is public. YouTube is public. Facebook is public. Anything anyone says on these is in the public arena. Nobody's talking behind your back. You don't get to control how people level their criticisms and what they say about you. You can respond to them. You can say they're unfair, and you can prove them unfair. But it's silly to fall prey to somebody being like, well, you're too much of a pussy to talk to me on my stream. Mm-hmm. Instead of being like, no, I can choose when and how I confront an issue.
Yeah, we're to me, like, we're expressing our opinions
for me by harassing me and having fans harass me on like Twitter and all this other stuff, which I guess bothers some people.
Yeah, and we're just expressing our opinions, criticizing whatever. But yeah, there's no reason why we have to fucking specifically like call, hey, I talked about you, so I need to fucking make sure you, like, I got to DM you or I got to at you or whatever. And then if I'm not willing to go onto your channel to fucking be berated by you and your buddies, I'm somehow a pussy.
Yeah,
like, dude, it's pointless, dude.
Yeah, because if you're coming on that channel to actually like discuss and debate.
Yeah, but it never happens.
But it's never that
waste of your time.
It's like when you already have a precedent. When you can sit there and be like, it's like you've already set a precedent that you clearly that's not the case.
Yeah, exactly.
And pretty much
that precedent. Then, I might be gullible enough to go through with it. But if you're not going to go through with it, then obviously you've proven my point that you're not here for a discussion. You're here for.
Well, and the big difference is a lot of these people will stay on and continue trying to because I don't think they get it when they go in. Oh, let me read real quick to Mad Metal Man's thing. They make straw men of themselves, like some sort of weird self-flagellation. He says he decided if it should ever happen, he'll gladly take on any of them. I guess if they ever choose to go after him for something or whatever. But
let me know. I have your back, Mad Metal Man.
We should box one of them.
Box one. I'm not interested.
Picking it back up.
Well, I know if it happened, because one guy I seem to manage to make really angry all the time is Tonkasaw. He seems to take it real personal when I criticize him.
That's fine.
I mean, he's got a fairly big, like 10,000 people follow his channel.
I think it's gotten way bigger. I haven't checked because I stopped following him a long time after the ranting monkey thing
on Twitter when I'm fucking with him, just trolling.
Yeah,
for like hours. Like you're always talking about me, and it's like no, every so often I'll see him say something real dumb, and I'll be like, that was dumb. You're a fucking you're the worst person in the world. I'm like, nah, dude. If I say dumb shit, make fun of what I say.
Yeah, that was the thing because Geek Thulu. Yeah, I remember Geek Thulu was like, you guys complain about this. You just sit there hate watching it. Yeah. Like, dude, I have not watched the fucking Kumite in a long time. The last one I saw was his first one with Ranting Monkey, which was just it was fucking horrible, dude. Like both of them, because they want to consider themselves whether they won or lost. Tonka Saw has his audience vote on whether or not he won the debate.
Evan takes pride when he wins every time.
Yeah, like he's proud of his undefeated record of having his crowd vote for whether or not he won.
For the longest time, he was tweeting out like 41-0 and shit, and I'm like, your fucking fans voted. Who gives a shit?
But yeah, dude, Hearth, if you don't mind, I want to send you that one that I'm talking about because I think it's the last one I ever watched because I actually followed it for a little bit because it was kind of entertaining, probably almost a month, like a few weeks.
People want to watch it, good for them. That's all good.
Yeah, but the first one with him and Ranting Monkey was the one where I was like, all right, I'm done. This is just fucking ridiculous because the whole time they're just. Yeah, it was. If you don't mind, I'm going to send it to you, dude.
Yeah, fire away. That's all good.
Okay. All right, cool.
Totally unbiased. Yeah. Oh, man.
Like, literally, both of them should have gotten losses, basically. It was really shitty. Because I do not like Ranting Monkey either. I fucking. That guy fucking annoys me to no end.
Yeah, Ranting Monkey's a fucking.
Yeah, he's a fucking dumbass. It's the same emotional bullshit that the shit that they always get mad at about the SJWs. He does the same shit for his views, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the inability to admit that even on occasion the SJWs are going to be right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like sometimes they're going to be right, even if it's by accident. However you want to think it, with your own ideological bias. Every side is eventually going to be right. I mean,
what I'm saying is he could never look past his first emotional reaction to anything and reconsider anything. Yeah. Exactly. Well, no, it was the thing that really got me was the whole Amish Yee thing. Which because Ranthony came out and he was like, look, man, if you are not willing to grant him his free speech, you're just like Steve Shives blocking everybody and just fucking blocking out other opinions. And again, saying Amish Yee, because I was pissed at first. Like, I was like, fuck you. What the fuck are you talking about, Ranthony? But as he laid it out, I actually reconsidered. I'm like, you're right. Despite how despicable this dude's opinions are, he has the right to fucking say it. And Ranting Monkey just the whole time was just like, no, that's fucking bullshit. I was like, all right, you're a fucking dickhead, dude. Fuck you.
Oh, yeah. Metalman is talking in the chat about Tonka helped out with an issue back in December for one of his friends for some cyber stalking stuff. But then he went after like Liz and Kraut and all them. And the truly ironic thing is they're not much different than Liz and Kraut, to be honest. With the way they go after people. Kraut's big thing was, and Tonka didn't really have anything to do with Kraut, but he acted like he was the fucking one who did everything and found out about Kraut and T and his whole weird doxing server.
Yeah, it was the Guardian, dude. The fucking Guardian's the one that let all that shit out.
Right. Yeah, there was a dude named Kraut and T who just went fucking nuts about the race realists.
It's a German guy. He's German.
Yeah, he's a German guy, and he was trying to bring them down by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And he created a Discord server, which is like a private thing that only him and his friends could go into.
Yeah.
Where they were coming up with all this insane shit about how they were going to like dox people, get them in trouble, and that I think kind of what kicked off kind of the silly shit.
Yeah, they were basically collecting people's personal information of people they disagreed with.
Yeah, they were being very selective about what they considered appropriate for doxing and not. And it's like, exposing that Kraut and T and like Jeff Holiday and some other people were all involved in this weird, creepy, like extreme reaction thing was good. Like it's good that came out.
Yeah, they were way up their own asses and doing some squirrely shit.
You don't need to then harass and harangue the people for fucking like weeks and weeks on end.
Yeah.
You've exposed the wrongdoing. Whatever happens after that is whatever happened. Nothing they did technically was illegal, even though it was extremely morally reprehensible.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, in internet land, it's close to unforgivable, man.
Make sure that everybody, has access to the information, and then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. either they'll lose fans or they won't. But you don't just harass them for weeks on end until fucking they have to like fucking flee the internet from the shit going down.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a huge in this little corner of the internet. It was a huge deal.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, he didn't have much to do with it.
Yeah, the whole thing is utterly absurd, and I think it's I'm sure I've talked about this before, but at a certain point, the sort of skeptic anti-SJWs, the bar became so much lower to enter. So originally, the people who were basically pioneering, like, started off the whole thing that hadn't really been done prior to that. Were doing like real research and educating themselves and going through it, and they really understood what they were talking about. And a lot of the people that have come since really don't. They're just relying on parroting the same things that all these other people say.
Okay.
And so the bar is really lower. So you're not getting the same level of like intellectualism as far as like the things they're putting forth as facts, and this is the right thing, and this is not wrong, you know. Like,
and to be honest, dude, you know, even the people that they were originally doing it got really fucking lazy too. Like they were fucking not doing research anymore. You know what I mean? They got this fucking huge following that kind of fucking just propped them up, and you know, they got huge egos about it, and they stopped doing the shit like actual research, or like they'd get a video, they'd have someone, you know, see a video from someone else, they're like, oh, if he said it, he probably researched it. Then they wouldn't bother researching anything themselves. Like that, a lot of that shit went on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, Monday Matt and Jeff Holiday are together? Oh, jeez, man.
Oh, Jesus. Dude, I don't like either of those two. Well, you know, I've been talking shit about Jeff Holiday for, 6 months now? And pretty much since I came onto this fucking show, I've been talking shit about Jeff Holiday.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, he's kind of a douchebag.
Yeah.
Just imagine that creepy college guy that wants to go to high school parties with a guitar, and that's pretty much him.
So
You want to, like, his personality, you know, like that kind of personality.
Oh crap!
Yeah. He's still one of the cool kids. He's still one of the edgy kids in his mind.
Edgy?
In his mind.
I want to take, because we got like 15 more minutes. I want to take this into a little more fun and just like lighthearted stuff.
Serious bullshit the entire way, man.
Oh yeah,
go for broke.
But here we go. For broke. So there's this Wooden Rocket channel where they keep asking porn stars random questions, and it's amazing. So that'll be like, you know, I mean, it's from anything like stupid shit like, do you orgasm in every? Do you orgasm when you do a scene? And it's like, well, yeah, obviously sometimes. You know, if they're fucking on camera, it's going to happen sooner or later.
Right.
But, you know, they also have like funny things like, you know, the weirdest fetish scene you've ever done and wild, crazy porn stories. And I wanted to relate one of the porn stories that I heard because it was fucking hilarious. So this guy was doing a realist fetish scene, right? And so they were shooting the whole thing in one take, and they weren't, and it was kind of like he was going to fuck a girl on her period. And all this other weird stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it starts out, she pulls the tampon out, her tampon out, it's all like bloody tampon, and flings it across the yard, which he's like, oh, that's fucking weird. Apparently there was a dog on set because the dog went over and fucking ate it. Right? And so that's then she's riding him, and there's a lot of blood. Like she's on a heavy flow day, and that's kind of gross. So she gets off and licks it off, I guess, in an effort to kind of try to hide how bad it is from the camera. Right? And then so she's like, all right, well, I can do anal instead. So she starts, you know, riding him anal and then shits on his dick. And so she's like, oh fuck, what do I do? And she goes to the fucking freezer. The whole time the director's like, no, let's keep going. And gets vanilla ice cream and tries to cover that up, the shit on his dick, with vanilla ice cream, and then licks that off.
No.
This guy's going, this is the worst fucking scene I've ever done. And then finally, at that point, the director's like, no, look, we can't do it anymore. He stops it. The scene never got anywhere else. He was never called back to work for that group. And she was presumably never called back either.
God damn, dude.
He never heard anything else about it.
What the?
Dude, but that
This is the best
that
fucking
exists
story I've
somewhere,
ever
dude.
heard. It's so fucking funny. It's so fucking wrong too.
Oh my god.
That's like just scrub it all off as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, what the hell,
sanitize
dude?
it.
I'm trying to think of that logic. I'm trying to imagine that brain.
Vanilla ice cream and then lick it off. That'll hide it.
That'll hide the shit.
Dude. Yeah, I'm trying to understand that mindset, dude, and it's just too fucking bizarre, dude. Like, why wouldn't you just scrub the shit off of his dick?
This is something that I didn't know. I mean, like, if I ever want to hide blood and feces, all I have to be doing is using vanilla ice cream, and it'll taste delicious.
See if I can.
Yeah, and have a dog around.
Here, real quick, and use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
You're gonna leave me with Deitois?
Only for
yeah, you're gonna drop that on us.
Really fucked up.
Yeah, you can drop that on us 10 minutes before. What the hell?
I've got another story when I come back.
Oh, he's gonna have another one, so we're gonna have to make do. I mean, we can still ride the whole shitty blood dick.
all right, Hartha. I assume you've at least you've seen the Two Girls, One Cup, right?
Oh, of course, and promptly try not to vomit.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm just wondering because sometimes I'll run across people who don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, okay, I can understand if you haven't seen it, but how the fuck have you not heard of it?
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch it for a long time, dude. Because I was just like, whatever it is, I don't think I want to watch it. But eventually, even me, like the curiosity got better of me, and I watched it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like I imagine it like in my head. I almost have to try to convince myself that it's some kind of weird computer generated shit. Especially because the feces at one point literally looks like chocolate peanut butter ice cream. Yeah. And I'm mainly saying that because I want you to be grossed out anytime you see chocolate peanut butter ice cream from now on.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mad Metal and anyone else playing at home, I hope that helps out too. Every time.
He's going off of apparently me saying shitty blood dick in description of what the fuck Stubby just talked to us about. It's a sequel to the original Blood Dick.
Yeah,
and
damn.
So the question that goes out is if we're gonna do this, we gotta do this as a trilogy, man. So what is the sequel to Shitty Blood Dick?
Shady Blood Dick 2, Electric Boogaloo. Dude, I fucking love that reference. Like, I know it's I hate Jeff Holiday now, but like that's his second channel.
Yeah,
it's Jeff Holiday 2, Electric Boogaloo. But there, like, I've only seen it one other place referenced, and it was in. You guys ever watch Mr. Show? It was with David Cross and Bob Odenkirk.
No, I never did.
It was on HBO. It was a sketch comedy show. It was fucking hilarious, dude. This was back probably in the 90s, I think. Maybe early 2000s. But they had a sketch comedy show that was just amazing, dude. Just really fucking funny. But that's the only other place I've seen that reference was they were doing some little spoof on something, and they had like one of these movies they were talking about. This one was called it was supposed to be pornos, but one of them was called Gone Fishing. And then it said that there was a second one, Gone Fishing 2, Electric Boogaloo. These porns. But anyways, literally the only two spots I've seen the Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo referenced in anywhere, dude. And I've searched because I used to do it all the time too. Anytime there was a 2, I would throw in the Electric Boogaloo thing.
Okay.
much as I just did.
Shitty Blood Dick, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, I was just going to talk about VR porn and how bizarre that is.
No, yeah.
It's interesting, right? So VR, if you've never done it, it's hard to explain because there's actually feels like there's depth to whatever you're watching. Like you're playing a video game, it's like you can reach out and touch it. Like it looks that real, it tricks your brain.
Yeah.
Like when you ride the roller coasters, you really do feel like that falling in the pit of your stomach thing.
Yeah.
There's a few things that are kind of funny that are still wrong that when it translates to VR porn make it really, really funny. So first of all, there's the screen door effect. Your brain can kind of still pick out the pixels. The small screens being that close isn't quite high enough resolution yet to take that effect out. So it's almost like you're looking at things through a screen door, which is why it's called the screen door effect. The other thing is scale can be a little weird. So in VR porn, the girls look like they're maybe 3.5 foot tall. And they look really skinny and bony. Even though, like, clearly, like, you look at them in like a regular on the screen porno, they would look like normal, curvy ladies with, normal sized and proportions.
Slightly.
And they get really close and like pretend to kiss under or beside the camera. So it's like they're kissing the person watching.
Mm.
But they get so close that I don't know if it's for everybody, but it makes me go cross-eyed. So they go double. And it's fucking awkward looking. You're just like trying not to laugh.
It's like keeping your eyes open when you kiss somebody.
It's
just like you're just like eyes are wide open, just staring straight at them.
It's so bizarre, and it's just it's not very believable. But there was a scene I watched where it was like there was some other dude in the background banging another chick, and then he finishes, and then he just sits on the couch and he's like watching as like you're supposedly banging the other 3 chicks. So it's like 3 chicks, and then you look over, and there's this dude just like leaned over, just kind of watching. And then every once in a while, he like looks at you like in the eye, like he looks in the camera, like he's making eye contact. He's like giving you the double thumbs up. And it's like it's not hot; it just feels really awkward.
Oh, I love the. Okay, I love Mad Metal Man still hacking away at the titles. I love this next one. After I'm assuming this will be after Shitty Blood Dick. The second one. Yeah. Because he says, and then 10 years later, we can bring back the original cast for Blood Dick Res Erection.
I love it.
Or alternately, Resurrection.
Resurrection.
Resurrection. Either way works.
Yeah, it's a good sell. I can make that sell. Sorry. But
yeah, resurrection or resurrection. I don't know. We'll go with his first.
Oh, now I see why you lean forward all the time, just to be able to see the.
Yeah, I can't quite make out the text of the chat.
We switch seats. There's so small amount of room.
Yeah, it's hard to maneuver. But to go back to your thing, getting a double thumbs up when banging, like I don't even know. Yeah,
and they're all like these like not German, but definitely Eastern Bloc, like Slavic country people.
Yeah,
from like Croatia and
Soviet
Romania
Russia.
And stuff like that, and former Soviet states essentially. And no, it's just really bizarre. There's this tatted up buff dude sitting on a couch, just fucking chilling out, watching you. Then about halfway through, you can tell like probably the director or somebody was like, "The fuck out of the shot!" And so he moves all the way to the end of the couch where you can't see him unless you really turn your head. And I'm just like checking it out because I'm like, I got to see what this VR porn is. It really that great? It's all right. It's not like
mind
better
blowing
than regular porn, but it's not like mind blowing. You're not like, holy shit, this is real. But I just had to keep watching him because he's just sitting over there for like the longest time with just this fucking erection and like the double thumbs up, watching you like, oh, this is great. The whole time you're like, oh man, I hope he doesn't come over and start blowing the guy. That'd be really weird for this.
Oh shit. And Soviet Russia, porn watches you. Yeah, that Russian guy is the one watching you do that.
Although to be fair, like, what do you do if you're watching, like, presumably they're buddies in the context of the scene? Like, if you're just hanging out watching your buddy fuck because you already came early.
Well, that's like, your problem, man.
Do you leave the room, or do you be like, this is still kind of hot and I want to watch this, hot chicks be all naked and shit?
Maybe you hope that he lasts more than 15 minutes so he can go back in there for another round.
Yeah. What's the social?
I mean, there's 3 of them. He can at least share.
Yeah. Oh, there's
during the cooldown period, you should be going and getting everyone else Gatorades or something.
Yeah, get a Gatorade, a banana. I don't know.
Social.
You got to stay with the phallic at least, like the banana.
That's the proper etiquette.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, worse though. What if it was like a devil's threesome? 2 dudes and a chick. Like you're banging the chick together, and then you come like way early, and the other guy's still got a good 15 minutes. Like that's got to be an awkward situation. Like, do you still hang around and just like play with their tits or something? Or
I'm sure.
Yeah. What is the proper porn etiquette for that?
I'm pretty sure you don't give the other guy a back rub. That might be like pushing it.
I'm sure there's plenty. There's plenty to do in the meantime.
Give each equal back rubs. Rub like one shoulder for each of them.
It's just
whisper encouragement.
It's just standing next to the guy, just like, you got this, man. You got this.
The fucking weirdest
dude.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's a good stroke, buddy. Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up.
Oh, you got the rhythm.
One more. Yeah, treat it like a trainer at the gym, dude. Come on, you got one more in you. Come on.
You just walk up. It's like sports. You like smack him in the ass. You're like, there you
go. Damn, dude.
Oh, Matt's just like broken at this point. Oh man. Oh, look at that! And now that we've covered all this incredibly important, very serious material, it's come to midnight and the end of our show.
At the stroke of midnight.
At the stroke of midnight. That's right. Oh man! I say we go out on a high note, fellas.
Yeah, I think it's perfect for the show, dude.
Yeah. Invite people to come back and check out the Thursday afternoon show. Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Pacific Standard Time.
Indeed.
And be there. That's the one I'm not in there. That's unfortunate.
And Engelhardt is going to have to actually click the stop broadcast button on the bottom of the thing for us to stop. Otherwise, we're going to be live until.
Thanks for sticking around, Mad Metal Man. Appreciate the hell out of you, man.
Outro. It's Detroit, Stabby, and Engelhardt, which is myself.
And thank you, Mad Metal Man, William Stenchover, and Max Burr for joining us shortly.
Yeah,
indeed.
All right.
Bye-bye.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. We're out.
And the bye.
Dear God, end the broadcast.